All right, welcome. Thursday evening, February 10th, roughly about 5 after 6, and we're going to have a great live call tonight. We're going to be answering questions for you. We're going to go through a bunch of different stuff. Some stuff specifically about how to convert. Conversion is a big subject, right? So you send out marketing, you talk to sellers call in, and then you want to be able to convert those leads into deals. But the problem is, people we're finding is that because there is more competition in the marketplace, meaning there's more people mailing, there's more people talking to the same sellers, it's becoming difficult to convert. So we are going to um, abolish that tonight. We're going to eliminate. We're going to give you some killer tips and tricks, things that you can use in your marketplace tomorrow that will help you with your conversions. So my name is Sean Terry. If you don't know me, maybe this is the first time you've been on one of these calls. I appreciate you being here. I been basically been running Phoenix Wholesale Homes since 2003. I started wholesaling houses. It's about 2015, and we do anywhere from roughly about flip about 300 houses a year. Started Flip to Freedom in 2010, and as a podcast I launched in iTunes primarily to teach local bird dogs how to go out and locate houses. I put the podcast in iTunes and launched it, and from there it just went bananas. It just went crazy. I wrote a book and submitted it into Amazon, and that took off. And it was real detailed, specifically about wholesaling. We've been luckily to have about 500,000 downloads on that book or more now. I haven't looked in the past actually year. And started the Flip to Freedom Academy in 2011, which has over 5,000 members of members all over the entire country, and it teaches the specifics how to go through how to first out and get your first check and scale it all the way to a $100,000 a month business. Launched Velocity Capital in 2014 is a real estate hedge fund that we are in the process of building right now. So that is my quick story. Like I said, we're going to keep the story short. We're going to keep the information short. We're going to keep all that short because we want to get to the meat. So, all right, Alex, tell us your background.
Alrighty. Well, number one, I'm awesome. This is
So what's
awesome
up,
to be
man?
on the call.
How's it going?
How you doing? You hear me okay?
Yeah, Alex, just so you know, Alex Younglood, he's building like a mansion out in Virginia right now, and he's been sending me pictures of his coffered ceilings and his stone wrapped fireplace that goes about 25 stories up into and his back picture of looking over the water and stuff. And I'm like, dude, man, you're kicking it. So what's up, man? How you doing? Flipping houses?
Good. Awesome. Yeah, today was a busy day because when you're building a house, it's crazy. Lots of decisions, and you're about to jump off my own balcony there. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm Alex Youngblood. Maybe some people have heard of me, maybe they have not. But basically, you might know of me from Wholesaling Houses Full Time, the Facebook group that's got the largest reach and the most responsive out of every single one of them, not spammy at all. So we started that in 2009. That's gone to the present time. You might know me from 1-800-FAIR-OFFER, which we are maybe going to talk about a little bit tonight. But I'm the co-founder of 1-800-FAIR-OFFER, along with Sean Terry. We'll get into a little bit more detail on that. The Real Estate Investing Mastery podcast is something I do with Joe McCall from 2011 to 2015. We're missing a zero there.
Oops.
And that we have over 35,000 downloads each and every month, and in a whole bunch of different countries across the world. So it's pretty awesome. I think you know something a little bit about that, Sean.
Yep.
And I've been doing this all since 2004 till the present with Solutions Homebuyers LLC, and I'm involved with wholesaling, rehabbing, and even doing some new construction and small development. And believe it or not, we just got one of our smaller developments approved today. I just got the PDF on that, the letter from the city. It only took a year, so we're excited about that.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I appreciate you sharing that. I've done a lot of stuff. So cool, cool. Let's get into it. I'm going to be bringing in Alex here in a little bit later on in the webinar tonight. And we have an incredible story. I was talking to David that's on, which is definitely an inspirational story for everybody that's going to be listening. So also, I'm going to give you guys what's called the objection annihilation method, and it's a superscript for overcoming 16 of the most common objections. Okay. Basically, I've been doing this since 2003, and I have my staff and my team of people, and we go through every Monday. We hold a meeting. We go through, okay, why, okay, you went on 10 appointments and you got 6 contracts. What happened to the other 4? Okay, great. What happened to the 4? Well, this guy gave me this objection. So we talk about the different objections, overcome it, and what we've done is take the most common objections, and I wrote basically the exact basically a way to annihilate that specific objection. And we're going to give you that. We're going to give you be able to download it. So I think it's like 5 or 6 pages, and it's going to give you an in detail look. But you have to know prior to using the script how to and why, basically how to lead the seller to becoming very specific about their objection, which we're going to talk about tonight. So let's talk about real quick about the big problem. Okay, now this is a problem / opportunity, because here's the deal: the market is on fire. On fire. We held an open house, and I posted up on Facebook. We held an open house on a property. Brandon, he's my outside sales guy, or he deals with the dispositions of the properties. So we sent out a couple emails to our buyers list and had an open house for a Paradise Valley property, and amazing. I mean, literally, we had 40 plus people there. Had people submitting contracts left and right. And we don't bid up the property. We don't play the whole bidding game. It's basically first come, first served. First one that commits to it gets this earnest money deposit, is in proof of funds, is going to get the deal. So the good thing is the market's on fire. Okay, we're at a position in the market right now where if you have a good deal, deals will sell, and they'll sell quickly. Okay, if you have a marginal deal that's just okay, it's going to be a little bit tougher to sell. But if you come across a good deal, then the properties will sell quick. And the reason is because, I mean, look at President Obama takes steps to increase homeownership. So interestingly enough, what he's doing now is he is basically taking the regulation, right? Because before, remember, just like a handful of years ago, the whole real estate bubble happened, and it was because anybody and their brother who could fog a mirror could get a loan, and what they were called is called stated income. And they had all these different loans that came out, and they packaged those up and sold those off to investors, called CDOs. So what happened is the market's been really tight, and it's been very difficult for people to come in and get loans unless it's with FHA, right? And FHA loans are typically backed and bought by the 2 largest, government-owned mortgage companies, right? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So what happens now is President Obama is basically loosening regulations to the marketplace. I talked to my mortgage broker actually, what was it, yesterday? I talked to him on Friday, and he told me he just closed his first stated loan. Now, stated means basically you just state your income. They don't ask for any type of income verification, right? They just base it upon the property, the loan to value, and the the credit score. So if you have a good credit score and there's a at least 30% equity in the property, a 30% down payment, then guess what? They can do a stated loan. So that's the first one he saw that come through. He's got more that are coming through. So what they're finding is there's a loosening in the regulations. So why is it a problem? On the flip side, it's excellent. It's amazing because all of our buyers in the marketplace that are purchasing from us, they're fixing up and turn around and selling into the marketplace. It's phenomenal because there are more buyers in the marketplace. They're sucking up deals, right? They're buying retail deals. Why is it a bad thing? Is it a bad thing because what happens is it drives more investors looking for properties, right? As the market heats up and it starts going crazy, like in 2005 here in Phoenix, the market was insane, multiple offers on every properties. So traditional ways to go out and get deals through foreclosures, through REOs that were bank-owned properties, through buying at the auction at the courthouse steps, through various different means, even through HUD homes. So the bottom line is that there's more investors looking for those distressed inventory, which essentially is driving up the price. And it says 1.1 million U.S. foreclosures in 2014, lowest level since 2006. Distressed inventory is shrinking dramatically. Okay, distressed. So there is no, short sales and REOs and bank-owned properties and stuff, those are becoming obsolete. In the next handful of years, we won't even talk about those properties anymore because they're going to be gone. There's going to be a handful, right? A very small amount, but they're not going to sell it at a below market price because they have a backlog of inventory. They're not going to shadow inventory. They're not going to do that. They're just going to stick it out just like they are in the retail market. And then we got mortgage rates in the U.S. and 2014 at annual lows. Okay, now we look at the interest rates right now, right? And the interest rates, we all know that eventually the interest rates are going to have to go up in some way, but right now they are currently at historic lows. Right? They're at absolute lows, which is amazing, which makes refinancing better. It makes purchasing homes better. It drives more people into the marketplace because their homes become more affordable. So then we have sellers are getting bombarded with investors, okay? Because the typical channels to get distressed properties is becoming obsolete, like we just talked about in REOs and bank auction properties, and buying properties off the MLS that are REOs, trying to get properties that are short sales, and we'll try to work that whole thing. So what happens is all these investors that were typically getting properties through those channels are now looking to other ways to be able to find distressed deals. Now, what happens is they're going after the private sector. They're going after the direct to seller, like I've been talking about and I've been doing since 2003, right? Since I first got in this, is going direct to seller. Now, what happens is when you go direct to seller, you can tend to get a good deal on properties, right? And now here's the thing, in the market right now, there's about 95% of the sellers are going to sell on a retail basis. Okay, they're going to sell retail. They're going to call up an agent and they're going to list their house. That's the traditional way to sell. We all know that, right? So then there's that small 3 to 5% of the people that are in a situation where there's an impending event or some sort of reason that they have to sell. Or they might be divesting, right? And they want to get rid of some properties. They might be 55, 65 or older, and they have properties or portfolio properties, or they had a mother or father pass away and they want to sell some rental properties. So they're in that particular situation where they want to sell, but they don't want to have to dump money into the property to fix it up, and they want to sell it as is, and they want to sell it quickly. So you got two different things. You've got impending event like a divorce or a tax default or a pending foreclosure, a pre-foreclosure that comes up. It could be an absentee owner that has a property where the tenant trashed it. It could be a fire damage property. Those are all events that happen that cause distress. right? And then on the other side, you have people that want to get rid of their property. So the thing is that a lot of these other investors that would typically get properties from the MLS via REOs or the courthouse steps are now going direct to seller. So you're finding that sellers now have a mailbox full of postcards, letters. I mean, literally on contracts that people send to full, like from large investment companies, full blown out brochures that they send out. It's amazing what you'll see. And investors are lining up and making their best offers. So we're seeing now in this and in certain areas across the country, we're seeing now where literally a seller, right? They'll have all these postcards or letters. They're calling, right? And they're calling up multiple investors and they're making appointment all at once, and they're coming over and they're walking through the house. Give me your best offer. Okay. Now that's not fun. See, when the market sucks and no one wants to do real estate, you're the only guy in the sellers begging you to buy their property. In this particular case, now, guess what? The seller has options. The seller's in the driver's seat. They have options. Guess what? What am I going to do? Who am I going to pick? Right? So it becomes a problem now because now they're looking at you. They're looking at your company. They're looking at your brand. They're looking at your reputation. They're looking at you as an investor, as an individual, and they're deciding if they want to do business with you. And it's not always price driven. It's not always price driven. Sometimes it's price driven, but not always price driven. So now, if they talk to 3 or 4 or 5 investors and they're making their determination of who they want to give their business to or sell their house to, they have to make a decision and find out who is the most credible. Who is the most credible person that I can sell my house to, that I'm not going to have any hassles, I'm not going to have any hard times, and I know I can get the deal done. So think about it. Now let's look. Now you've kind of, instead of looking at, I'm just going to throw out some letters, I'm going to get some calls, and I'm going to talk to some sellers. The market's changed. A handful of years ago, that was easy. In 2010, 2011, you could send out letters because there's lots of foreclosures. Guess what? No one was targeting those but us. And we were getting 1 or maybe 2 postcards, and we come in, and guess what? We don't have to be super, we just have to show up and we can get the contract. That's not the case anymore. What happens now is that we have to be in our skill, in our craft, in our brand, or in our associations of company, we have to be super credible. And I call it super credibility. If we can develop a super credibility beyond all other investors, then guess what? Our conversion rates will go higher. So let's get into it. So let me give you a quick real estate market prediction. Inventory levels are continue to decrease nationally. Okay, inventory levels right now are slowly decreasing as they loosen the guidelines for lending, as interest rates stay low. What happens is, inventory levels will decrease. Lending guidelines will continue to loosen, thus bringing in more qualified buyers to the marketplace. Foreclosure levels will decrease, which will practically remove distressed inventory from the market. Competition will increase, making it more and more difficult to get deals at significant discounts. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what we can do as individuals and from a company standpoint that you can literally be the competition crusher. Okay, so what can you do to be the competition crusher? First off, there's instant insight and rapport, mind control mastery, how to become highly skilled at reading people, building rapport, and overcoming objections. Okay, because and I don't even want to get into the comparison of 2 different people, one that's skilled and one that's not, one that's confident and one that's not, one that knows how to overcome objections and one's that's not, one that has super credibility and the one that doesn't. Be able to optimize them. Okay? Basically having the ability to offer more options than your competition. If you have the ability to offer more options for the seller, then when they're sitting there and thinking, I talked to this guy, talked to this guy, talked to this guy, and they only gave me one option, but this guy's giving me multiple different options, and they're, guess what? They're super credible, and they present themselves well, they're confident, they know how to read, and guess what? I'm going to give this guy the business. See, people make decisions based upon logic. No, I mean, my fault. People make decisions based upon emotion. They think they make decision based upon logic. So what we do is we present everything we do in a logical manner, but we know that people make decisions based upon emotion. Fast funding. If you can close faster than your competition, you will get the deal. Okay, if you have a way to build rapport with them and you can give them different options and you can close quicker than everybody else. So people ask me, Sean, why did you launch a hedge fund? Why did you, for this reason, for multiple different reasons, but being one of them, this reason, right? So we can turn around and we can come in and offer. So if I've got 5 other people and they all want 30-day closes on their contract, okay, they all want 30-day closes, because we've got to wholesale the property. And I come in and I can say I can close by next Friday. Who do you think is going to get the deal? And who do you think is going to get it at a lower price? Super credibility. Super credibility is how you obtain super credibility to the seller. What can you do above and beyond everybody else to drip with credibility with your seller? Okay? And it's the entire package. It's not one specific thing. So these are the 4 things that we're going to talk about tonight. And guess what? If you can implement these 4 things in your business and start moving your business and start moving your sales team and your people into a position where you can literally be able to focus and build these 4 pillars, well, guess what? You'll be able to go in and you'll be able to spend more money on marketing. You can get leads to come in through the door, and you'll get more conversions and more deals. And guess what? Guess what will happen to all the other investors? They're going to spend money, and you're going to get the deals. That means they're not going to get a conversion. And if you spend money on marketing and you get leads coming in and you go on appointments and you don't get contracts and you're running around doing all that stuff, right? What happens if you don't produce an ROI? You stop doing it, or they stop doing it. So this is literally something that, if mastered and mastered with you and your team, where you work on this, you could be able to have better conversions and literally drive other people in the market out of business. Meaning, because you'll get the conversions, you'll have a higher ROI. You'll be able to convert more deals, and they're going to be sending mail until they're blue in the face trying to do this, and then I got to try to do this, I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to try to do that. Try all these different things. They're not going to get conversions, and they're finally going to give up. And guess what? Now that inbox, that mailbox is going to start to diminish, and then guess what? You're just going to rise to the top. So let's talk about instant insight and rapport. Okay. So basically, we have to understand what rapport is. And the first thing is people like themselves. Okay? People like themselves. Have you ever saw a group of people, they all hanging out, right? And guess what? They all look the same. They all. I was driving out today. I don't know where I was going. I was going to grab lunch today, right? And there's this group of guys, and they all had the little goatees on. They all had the backward hat. They all had earrings in the right ear. They all had the real tight muscle shirts on. They're all pumped up. All had the real tight, what those jeans. What I can't remember what those jeans are called, but whatever. They had real tight jeans on, and they all looked the same. It's like it came out of like a clone club. Why? Because people like themselves. Same thing. If you understand that people like themselves, then when you approach a seller, right, If they are very amiable and quiet and they're talking slow and you talk like me, loud and obnoxious, what's going to happen? They're not going to like you. So part of getting people to like you is to become a chameleon in every aspect. And see, initially what happens is when you first meet someone that you do not know, you have a tolerance for them. That means you can tolerate the relationship, right? You can tolerate it. You're not friends, you're not buds, you're not hanging out. You can tolerate them, right? And then what happens is as you build a level of rapport, right? By understanding that people like themselves, understanding how to be a chameleon, understanding that, guess what? Recognition and compliments go a long way. You know, really getting them to talk about their interests. And I tell this story when I went into the seller's house one time, and he had all these handcrafted boats on the wall from all over the entire country. I didn't walk in and look at the house. I walked in and looked at him. I shook his hand. I looked him in the eye, and I said, "How you doing?" And guess what? I was on time. I didn't show up 10 minutes early because people don't like that. I didn't show up 10 minutes late because then he would think I'm not going to take him seriously. I showed up on time. And before that, I was running the neighborhood and I was checking comps to make sure I have my numbers inside and out before I talk to the guy. And then I walk in the door, I look him in the eye, I shake him, shake his hand, introduce myself, give him my card, and guess what? I look at the boats and I go, "Holy cow! Where'd you get those boats? Those are amazing." So instantly, I took the focus on the uncomfortable situation where a guy's going to come over, he's going to look at my house and make an offer, to shift it immediately to his boats, because people like themselves. So guess what? He likes boats, obviously, because he had them plastered all over the wall. He had boats here and boats there, boats on this thing, but they're all over the place. So I said, "Oh my gosh, these boats are amazing." He sat there for a half hour and told me everything about these boats, where he got them. He'd take different trips and he'd find these boats. He made it his life venture to basically collect these handcrafted boats from all over the world. It was literally, I mean, it was amazing. And I showed interest, sincere. Now, there's difference between sincerity and then he's just talking and it's just going right through me. Have you ever been sitting down and you talk to your wife and she's sitting there talking all this stuff and you're off in la la land? She goes, "Are you listening to me?" Right? More times than not, right? And they go, "Yeah, I'm listening to you." So if you're sitting there talking to the seller and you're thinking in your mind that you got to look at the house and what type of offer you're going to make and this, that, and the other, and you're not sincerely interested in him and listening, guess what? They can feel it like a dog smells fear. Sellers can smell insincerity. So the bottom line is now I'm talking about these boats, and guess what? He's my best friend now. He's patting me on the shoulder. I have 100% in complete rapport. So there's tolerance, there's neutral, there's understanding. That's when two people understand each other. Okay? So tolerance, I'm dealing with. And then I'm kind of neutral. I really don't have an opinion about this person, right? But then, hey, yeah, I understand who they are, the type of person they are. And there's identification. Now you can identify with someone. It's a deeper level of rapport. And now you like them, right? So how do you get someone to go from tolerance, neutral, understanding, identification, liking? Right? You show interest in them. You show interest in their situation sincerely, right? And you tell stories, and you let them tell stories, and you listen to their stories, right? Intently. And what happens, and that's the obviously the, I mean, and this is actually the level of rapport down to seduction. We're obviously not going to get that far with this seller, right? So anyway, so the bottom line is you want to get to a point of liking as fast as possible. Now, here's the deal. Most people will go in and meet with the seller. They'll talk to them. They'll, "Okay, great, show me the house." They'll walk around. They'll giggle, gaggle back and forth. They're going to get to a tolerance and a neutral. maybe an understand, maybe not even an understanding. They might just get a tolerance or neutral, and then they will present their offer, or then they'll talk numbers. So they're in a tolerance or neutral state of rapport, and then they're going to talk numbers, and they wonder why they don't get the contract. If you are not acutely aware of the level of rapport that you are in prior to talking numbers, right, it's going to be very difficult. Also, too, and we're going to talk about personality types. You can't do this with certain personality. Certain personality types will blow you out the door before you can come in and build a level of rapport. And then some personality types, you can instantly build a rapport just by the way you talk to them, which we'll get into. So how to read people like a book. There are 4 different personality types. There's driver, which is assertive and aggressive. Social, they just want to have fun. Social conscious, they are more concerned about their neighbors, and they're more concerned about the world, the environment, and their surroundings. And analytical people are very detailed orientated. So let's say theoretically you're on this webinar tonight and you're a driver. You're a driver, right? And you walk in, and a driver is someone that is assertive and non-responsive. They like control. They're in a hurry to get to the point. They're a very poor listener. They're firm, stubborn, and tough. They're decisive and make decisions quickly. So let's say you're a driver, and then you meet a seller who's analytical, or you meet a seller that's social conscious. So you're a driver. You want to get to the point. Hey, let's go. Come on, let's go, man. We're coming in here. I'm coming in. Let's go. We got to get this deal done. So you're a driver. You walk into a house with a seller, and that seller is analytical, but you don't know because you're clueless, right? Just like I was a handful of years ago, right? So I turn around, I walk in, and I'm a driver because that's my personality type, and I go in, and I speak to an analytical, and guess what? I'm just, okay, great. Let's go. Let's look around the house. Okay, great. Here's my number. Let's go. Hey, what do you think? And I'm overpowering the situation because I am clueless about personality types. So here's the interesting thing, right? You have a driver, right? And if I could have, I taught this a little bit at my Extreme Freedom event last year. We had about 300, 400 people there, and I had all the people raise their hand that were drivers, and the drivers came up on stage. It was funny because they're aggressive, they're well sharp, they're well dressed, they're right to the point, they're kind of agitated and fidgety. They're like, come on, let's it's amazing. Now here's the deal, right? And I'm not going to get into details exactly because I could spend a month on this training right here, but there are ways to negotiate with each personality type, right? So I'm going to tell you real quick with a driver. How can you negotiate with a driver? A driver, right? A driver likes to win with blood. Okay, what does that mean when you're negotiating in a contract? If you meet a driver and you walk in, and the guy walks in and goes, hey, how's it going? Good. Hey, why don't you just look around the house right here and tell me, I'll kind of look at the bedrooms and stuff like that. And then when you're done, I'll be out here in the kitchen. Just tell me what you want to offer, and we can I can decide if we want to do. What would you do when you walk into that situation with a seller? Because if I have you raise your hand, how many people run into people like that? yeah, lots of people. So what do? You kind of go over the top of them. You say, listen, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go walk around the neighborhood, walk around the block right here, walk around the house right here. I'm going to check out the rooms and stuff like that. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with an offer, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I can do and do cash. Is that going to work for you? So you're almost going to repeat what they do. You're going to overcome and be just as confident in their face. Why? Because people like themselves. So what happens is you go through the house, you come back, you don't want to waste his time because you know he's a driver. And then what do? You go up, you talk him, you shake his hand, right? Or do whatever, and you start talking, and you throw out your number. And here's the deal. If you throw out a number that is your actual number, you'll never get the deal. What you have to do negotiating with a driver is you have to throw out such a low, ridiculous number that he can beat you up bloody and then you'll get to your final number. So let's say you have to be at 130. You're not going to give them a $130,000 number. You're going to give them a $90,000 number. So he's going to freak out. What? 90,000? What are you nuts? You can do $90,000 in this thing? I mean, I got 10 other people I can talk to 90,000. Well, okay, what do you want? Well, I want 140. Okay, you want 140? I'm at 190. I don't even think we got a deal here, man. I don't know what the situation is, but how the heck did you come up with a number of 140? And he's going, the house down the street and this, right? And you say, listen, I like you. You seem like a good guy. I know you want to get this house done. Let me make a phone call. And then you go out, you make a phone call, you walk around the house, you start screaming on the phone. You come back and say, listen, you know what? I'm going to get fired because of this. I don't know if I come back with this, I'm just going to get ripped to shreds from my team. But listen, I can get up to 120. If you can do 120, I can get this sucker closed quick. 120, I want 140, da-da-da-da-da. And then you go back outside again, and you split the middle. I said, listen, you're 140, I'm 120, let's split it down the middle, 130, boom. And you get the contract for the 130. If you would have started at the 130, you wouldn't have got 130 because his number would have won 160. If you start at 90, he can beat you up. And then he leaves and he goes back to his wife and says, I ripped that guy to shreds. He had nothing left, man. He's going to lose money on this deal. Right? That's what he's saying to his wife, but you know better, don't you? Because you know how to negotiate with a driver. So then the next one is social. They're assertive. Now, drivers make decisions quickly. Drivers, you can close right on the spot. You can fill out the contract, fill it out, sign it right there on the spot. Don't hesitate. Don't think about it. Don't wait. If you don't close them right there, you'll never get them again. You have to close drivers right on the spot. Social, assertive and responsive, likes to build relationships, enthusiastic and optimistic, right? Short attention span, flexible and spontaneous, fast to make decisions and impulsive. Socials, blues, you can close right there in the spot as well. And if you know that going in, so how do you know a blue? Because they are, right, assertive and responsive. They're very bubbly. They want to build a relationship. So with them, you've got to spend some time with them building a relationship. You've got to get to that level of rapport of liking, and then you're going to get to liking, and they're not going to want to make you feel bad, right? They want to make it a happy win-win situation between the both of you. Those type of socials you can close immediately on there. Social conscious is not assertive but responsive. They're agreeable and willing and respectful. Wants to make a difference. Low risk taker. Soft-handed and supportive. Will make decisions if patient. Now, with a social conscious, with that type of personality type, you have to be talk slow and detailed, focus on the relationship, focus on the process, focus on what it's going to do for the neighborhood once you sell this house, what it's going to do for other people, and the association that you have with outside third-party credibility sources will weigh heavy with a social conscious. Testimonials will weigh heavy on a social conscious. And if you're patient, you can close a social conscious. Okay? But with a social conscious, right, if a driver walks into a social conscious and tries to overcome them by being loud, obnoxious, and to the point, they will never get the contract. If a social tries to go in and tries to get a driver, it's going to be very difficult because the social is going to be overpowered. If the social conscious tries to get a driver, it's incredibly difficult. Why? Because the driver is going to hammer them. They'll never get the contract signed because the social conscious is going to talk to the driver on about what's going to happen to the neighborhood and what are we going to do to the house and it's going to look beautiful. The driver doesn't care. The driver wants to know how much money I'm going to make and how quick I'm going to make it. The last is analytical. In the analytical, they're motivated by facts. Likes things in writing, non-responsive. So you walk up to a analytical, right? And what's typical in analytical? They're an engineer. They are detail orientated. They like things in writing. They like facts. So when you walk into the analytical and say, hey, how you doing today? It's great. They're going to tell you about the AC unit that was placed 3 years ago and how many services were done on it and the log that they have on it, the roof, and they're going to have the repair, and they're going to have the warranty on the roof and all the details about it, and the hot water heater that was replaced and it was it was flushed out 4 times a year. They're going to get all this stuff, and you're going to go, great, right? Right? Because people like themselves. So when it comes to analytical, if you show up late to an analytical, there's a very, very good chance you will not get that contract. Because I had on stage in Extreme Freedom last year a whole group of analyticals, and I asked him, I said, if someone shows up late, what happens? He goes, you know what? They don't think I'm serious. They don't think it's serious. They're not taking it serious. Do you trust them? You don't like them. You immediately create dislike. You break rapport with the analytical if you show up late. And there's other investors. They're marketing. They're taking phone calls. They're talking to them on the phone. They're gathering information. They have their podio set up. They have this. They have all these stuff. And then they go set an appointment and they show up late at an appointment. You know what I do with my team? We set appointments. We set anywhere from 12 to 15 appointments a week with sellers. I have Jerry Beth, my leads manager. She goes back and she calls every one of those sellers on Friday afternoon. And she'll get a hold of them and she'll talk to them and she'll say, how was the appointment? Did he show up on time? And guess what? My outside sales guys knows that we're going to be calling and we're going to get a full download report of exactly what happens. And if he's showing up late in appointments, guess what? Monday morning meeting, we're going to have issues, right? Because I'm managing my business. So with an analytical, how can you close an analytical? Guess what? Analytical, if you talk slow, you build enough rapport, you talk and justify and logic your numbers, and then you go through in detail of the contract. You go through line by line by line by line by line by line in the contract, and you show them that everything is in writing, right? They will, guess what? If you go back, there's people listening right now that are drivers that's just going to blow over the contract. They're going to skip right through the whole thing with the analytical, and the analyticals. Guess what the analytical is going to say? Well, I got a couple more people I talk to. I just want to think about it because they're not comfortable with you, right? A social is going to do the same thing, right? But with the analytical, if you understand that personality type and you can read that personality type, guess what? Now you're going to go in there and go, hey, ding, 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 they're an analytical. Holy cow, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to be very slow, calculated, and very meticulous. I know they like it in writing, and I'm going to read the entire contract, and I'm going to talk about the whole process. And guess what? They will make a decision. Why? Because you're the only one that's going to do it. And guess what? You will get the conversion. So what we've created, right, is what's called the custom covert intuitive presentation. It's an iPad presentation, right, that my outside sales guys uses when he meets with a motivated seller, right? And it has everything incorporated that targets all 4 personalities. It answers 99% of the frequently asked questions, has multiple different closes, and overcomes objections. So I'm going to show you this real quick, what it is. It's for 1-800-FAIR offer. Now, if you look on the screen right here, it shows all the states across the country where there's 1-800-FAIR offer. Brand is purchasing houses. And also you look on the right-hand side is the Association of the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating, okay, which is incredibly important. What does that do? What personality type? That does with a social conscious personality type and also does with an analytical personality type. You got the team, goes through the sold list ratio. So a house from sold to list. Well, guess what? If it's listed for $100,000 and you have a sold to list ratio of 93, guess what? 7% comes right off the top. 7% of 100,000, that's $7,000 right off the top. So guess what? Oh, Joe Blow has a house down the street. It's listed for $200,000. Oh, But if now they understand list to sold ratio, guess what? That's not going for $200,000. It's going to go for less, 7% less. Days on market. Here you go, Mr. Seller. Let me ask you a question. You really want to wait on the market 100 days? So what you're doing is you're educating the seller. Now, green analyticals love this stuff. This is difficult to use with a driver. A driver's not going to sit down through this whole thing, okay? But the other three personality types will. Number of listing on the market. This gives us an idea of inventory levels. Key benefits. We pay cash. We can close on your timeline. You save thousands of dollars by not paying realtor commissions. Those are key benefits. Pros and cons of going with a 1-800-FAIR offer versus a listing realtor. Pros, no repairs, quick close, no showings, guaranteed price, guaranteed close date, save on commissions, save on escrow fees, flexibility. Cons, condition adjusted market price. So what does that mean? Condition adjusted market price? Well, guess what? We take your property based upon your condition and we give you an adjusted market price for the house. Okay, listing with a realtor. Pros, higher price, representation. Cons, you pay commissions, you pay closing costs, price is uncertain, closing date's uncertain, seller has to do repairs, seller has to pay concessions, contract contingencies, property showings. Okay, so if you have a person you say, here, you want to outweigh, basically you're looking to say, these look at two right here, the pros versus cons. And what it does, it helps them make a decision. Client testimonials. Each one of these testimonials overcomes objections and then speaks to the certain personality type. Client testimonials. Client testimonials. Frequently asked questions. How are you different from real estate agents? Boom, we can answer it. How do you pay market value? So there's a certain portion right here at the testimonial section, after you go through that you leave the iPad with the seller and you go take pictures of the house. And you have them flip through the testimonials and read them. And you just say, hey, sit there and read these testimonials real quick. I'm going to go through, take some pictures on the house. And they're going to go through and they're going to read the testimonials and the frequently asked questions. Do you pay market value or retail? Okay, goes through that. Do we have to pay repairs for the house? How long? So these questions, you assume that the seller knows, but guess what? 99% of the time they don't. And guess what? This is something that's in writing, so analytics love it. The process. This shows them exactly what's going to happen within our process. We're going to sign the contract. We're going to open up escrow, right? We are going to complete the file. So what do we have to do to complete the file? Well, we have to get our financial partners in the property. We've got to get potential contractors in the property. We have to get our title report, in the file. We have to make sure we have all the fees correct and what's going to happen. We got to make sure, obviously, you have ownership of the property, right? We have to get any payoffs. So we have to complete our file, and then we close the transaction. So here are Fannie Mae's guidelines for lenders and appraisers. The most commonly used appraisal technique is the sales comparison approach. We all know that, comps. The fundamental concept underlying this approach is that market data usually provides the best indication of market value. The appraiser's task is to identify competitive properties that have sold recently on the local market and to collect basic information about the terms of the sale and the typical characteristics of the property. With this information about the subject property, the appraiser can search for comparable properties from a pool of sold properties. The appraiser first checks the sales that have taken place in recent and past in the recent past in the same subdivisions or similar proximity. Okay, for a pool of properties, the appraiser chooses at least 3 of the most comparable properties. A minimum of 3 comparables must be reported as part of the sales compare and approach from value. In actual practice, an appraiser might calculate simple average of the 3 adjusted sales price. So this is from Fannie Mae's guidelines. So now what happens? Have you ever met with a seller and you're talking to a seller and they're saying, okay, great. How did you come up with your number? And then you go, so listen, and if you're doing this presentation, it will overcome that objection. Because now what you're doing is you're taking a Fannie Mae, right, which is a government entity, and you're saying, here is how they come up with comparable sales. So you're basically taking a third-party validation from a third party of how they comp properties, right? So now you can use that, and it is something that's justified and logical to the seller. So appraisal guidelines: 3 most recent closed sales, 3 sold like properties in same or similar proximity neighborhood, plus or minus 10 the square footage. So this is what you're setting the seller up, and you're saying, here, this is how we determine price of the property through comparable sales. This is what we're looking for the guidelines, okay? And then guess what? Then you can show them comps. You show them a market condition property, right? Adjusted market condition. So now you can take 3 of the lowest of the low comps. Let's say you got 144. Oops. You got 144, 173, whatever the comps are total, right? Average. Commissions, let's say, listen, Mr. Seller, guess what? Here's a total. If we back out 6% realtor commission, 2% property repair, 2% closing costs, investor profit, guess what? Here's our initial offer. And this whole thing calculates it for you. So guess what? My sales guy, all he's going to do is input the 3 comps, and guess what? It'll spit out a number. Now, the variable in there could be the 5%. And guess what? You could come in initially with a 10%. And you could negotiate off that number. But it's logical from the seller's standpoint, and they're going to make an emotional decision. If they like and trust you, they will go with you. Closing calendar, and that's typically done for closing. And thank you. So that's a real quick overview of the custom covert intuitive presentation we use for our business, 1-800-FAIR-OFFER. And so let's go through some closes. Okay, it's what's closed. Now you get the end. You get to the end of that presentation, and you're talking to the seller after you've built rapport, after you've looked at the house. Now you've taken pictures. You have your contract there ready. You have your file there ready. And now you give the seller what's called an alternate choice close. You don't ask the seller, do you want to sell to me? Okay, you don't ask him that, okay? That's not a way to close the sale. What you do is you say, listen, Mr. Seller, when we get everything in the process, we close the property, would you like a check or wire? Because what they can do is they give you a check for the property. They can give you a check and they can make it out to you and your wife, whatever. But typically, if you put it into deposit in the bank, they typically put a hold on it, or they could put a wire. Which do you prefer? They go, well, we really like a wire. Okay, great. Here's the contract. Let's fill it out. Just put your name and information right there. Boom. Deal's done, signed. This is why we have a calendar in the back of our presentation. We go, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Which day would you prefer the close, on the 15th or the 16th? Today's the 10th. You want to close the 15th or 16th, or whatever day it is? Okay, great. You want to close the 15th or 16th? Oh, great, because 15th is a Wednesday, 16th is a Friday, or 15th is a Wednesday, 16th is a Friday, Thursday or a Friday. So you close on Friday, then you have to, obviously you got to move out, or you could do, we close on Friday, or you can close on Monday. So you kind of talk and they go, well, why don't we do a closing for Monday? Boom, they're sold, they're done. It's an alternate choice close. So you go, holy cow, boom. So you go, wait, so you don't go, hey, do you want to sell to me? No, you walk in, you go through the presentation, you go through that, you build rapport, you understand personalities. If they're analytical, you take your time. If they're a driver, you let them beat you up, right? If they're a social, you get to know them, you build a rapport, hear all their stories. And then you come down, you go through the presentation, you come through and say, hey, I think we really like this house. I think it'd be a great for exactly what we're looking for. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Would you like to close on the 15th or the 16th? So it goes, well, I think we would do on the 16th. I said, great, boom, sign it. They're going to look at their wife and they go, instead of saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? Of course they want to sell their house. They call the postcard. They call the letter. They had you come over. They want to sell. Would you prefer to leave your keys at the title company, or should I pick them up when we close? Okay, another alternate choice close. The next one is what's called the nail down close. Okay, so the seller goes, you say, let me ask you a question. Would you like to close on the 15th or 16th? You go, well, I don't know if we can do it. I was really hoping we get 135. 135. So if you can get 135, so you go, okay, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I don't know if I can get 135 done. I'm going to have to make a phone call on that. That's a little bit more than we wanted to be at. But let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller, and this is the nail down. if I can get you 135, are you ready to get this deal wrapped up right now today? And you get a yes, right? They'll say, I'll say, listen, if I can get you 135 and it's done, I don't know if I can get it. I'm going to make a phone call first because this is a little bit beyond what I'm approved for. But if we can get this done today, can you commit to 135? Boom, you get a yes. You go outside, you make a phone call, you walk around, I'm going to come back and say, listen, you know what? I'm going to get ripped up for this, but I can get the 135 done. Boom. And then you start writing it up. When would you like to close? 15th or the 16th? And you're back to that question. Are you guys following this? So here's the objection annihilation method. This is what you have to understand before you get the scripts, because the scripts are going to reference this technique. And what the technique is called boxing the objection. Boxing the objection. Now, the goal is to maneuver the seller into being specific about their objection. So a seller comes, says, I want to think about it. Say, great, Mr. Seller, right? And then you're going to box the objection. You have me, the process, the contract, or the price. So a seller goes, oh, I want to think about it. I would say, hey, I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller, but obviously I'm right here, right? And if you think about it, you come up with a question, and I'm not here, and you don't have anybody ask it, then you're just going to assume something. But I'm here. But let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. What specifically do you want to think about? Do you want to think about the process and what we have to do next? Do you want to think about the contract specifically? Do you want to think about the price? Or is it me? Or is there something I did? Or is there something about me that that you don't like? What specifically do you like to think about? Is it me, the process, the contract, or the price? So what you're doing is you're taking the broad I want to think about it, you're putting it into a box. And it goes, well, 95% of the time, it's going to be a price driven. Well, honestly, it's the price. You're a little bit lower than we need to be. Boom! You got them. You say, great. Well, let me ask you a question, man. Where do you need to be? Oh, you were at 135. You have to be at 145. So what happens is once you get down to a price, right, and they name their number, right, because what happens? Social is typically they're not going to want to confront on price. Social conscious is definitely not going to want to confront on price, and analytics not going to confront on price either. So they're going to give you what's called a cop out or a blow off. I want to think about it. I want to have a friend of mine who's a realtor look at this. I'm going to talk to my uncle who's an investor. But guys, those are all cop outs. They're all blow offs. If you buy that, guess what? You're going to leave, and I'm going to walk in behind you. I'm going to know what I'm doing, and I'm going to get the contract. Why? Because it's understanding. And see what happens is you take this, and I hope you guys learn this. So guess what? You can be better, and you can go in and get this stuff. So you box it. You get down the price. Now you have a gap, right? Once you get to a price negotiation, and now you have a gap. He's at 145. You're at 135. Right? And you say, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. What makes you, for 135? I'm 145. Why does it have to be 135? 145. Well, I just kind of need it. Or I have a mortgage on it for 140. Boom! Right? Information that was not disclosed, right? Or he wasn't comfortable disclosing prior. Right? Boom! Now you know. Guess what? Now you can do a wrap transaction on the deal, right? Or he comes back and says, well, you're 135 and 140, And I said, listen, Mr. Seller, I just want to tell you, listen, you're not paying any real estate commissions. You're not paying any closing costs. You're not having to fix anything on the property. That's thousands of dollars. You're not having to do all that stuff. We're going to be paying cash, right? You can move out on the time of your choice. Well, guess what? If you're going to list it with a realtor, you're not going to walk away with 145. We showed you that in the comparable sales. So, is that really realistic? Maybe not, huh? But what if we did? What if I could come up to 140? If we can get a 140, I think we can get it done today. Yeah, I think what happens is you're talking to him nicely. You built a level of rapport. You're getting an understanding. You get him to like and trust you. You're logically making sense. right? So what if you go through and, hey, I want to think about it. I'm going to talk to my uncle, brother, friend, sister, and you go, well, is it the process you're looking at? Is it the price? Is it the contract? And they go, oh, it's the contract. Okay, great. What specifically in the contract would you like to go over? I'm sitting right here. I can answer any questions for you. Boom, let's go through it. I'll go through it and I'll say, you know what? I can sit down here and I can go line by line with you, through the whole. I can figure this whole thing out. So I want to make sure you're 100% comfortable, because obviously I know this is a big decision to sell your house, and I want to make sure you're 100% comfortable doing it. So let's go together through the contract, and I'm happy to answer any questions for you, or if you need to see anything, I'd be happy to strike it. Boom! You walk out with a contract. The other guy that comes in, other investor comes in, he walks in and goes, oh, I just want to get the objection, says I'm going to talk to my realtor friend or buddy or whatever, and and I'll get back to you, right? And you go, okay, when's a good time I can call you back? Never, right? Seller's saying never. But then you come along because you know this stuff, and you're going to box the objection, and he's going to say contract, and you're going to get it. Okay, so here is the script I'm going to give you, and I'm going to tell you at the end of the webinar where to get it. But this script right here is the objection annihilation method. I want to think about it. I want to sleep on it. Don't you hate that one? Who wants to sleep on it? I have several other investors be looking at the property. Bam! It nails exactly what to say. What makes the difference between you and everybody else? If I can't get this price, I'm not going to sell it. Your price is too low. Your price is too low. We're not going to give it away. I have no place to go once I sell it. That one's easy. I have to talk over to a friend and family, uncle, brother, sister, whatever. I'm not sure I can sell at that price. I'm not comfortable with the process of the contract. How do I know this isn't a scam? I'm not ready. And these are all objections that I've got that we've heard over and over and over, and we put them in a file and we basically answer them. I'm really not ready for this. It's happening too fast. Here's an appraisal that I just had completed. So how you do? I just got an appraisal. This is the price I want for it. How do you overcome that? I'll show you. I'd like to run this contract first by my lawyer. My friend's a realtor, and she said it's worth X, or the tax assessment said it's worth more than your offer. Don't you hate that one? So he goes, oh, I got a realtor. She's the one that told me it's worth X. Okay. She's trying to get the listing. So this is the objection annihilation method. It answers all the commonly asked questions. If you know these inside and out, you understand how to box the objection, and you understand their personality types, you will be invincible. You will get contracts left and right. Your competition will go in, and they're going to be walking out scratching their head when they go, oh, I got a realtor friend, and they said it's worth X. Well, we think it's worth, and then you're going to get in an argument with them. You don't want to get in an argument with a seller. People like themselves. You don't want to argue with them, right? Optimize them. The first optionize them, not optimize them, optionize them. Optionize them means having the ability to give the seller multiple options. Most people go in with only one option. I'm going to give you 70% less repairs, minus my profit equals the offer price. So they're going to give traditionally a wholesale deal. Okay, they're going to give a wholesale deal. So now they turn around, they give a wholesale, basically offer on the property, and then if it's not accepted or the gap is too high. So what happens if you're at 135 but they want to be at 155? You have a $20,000 gap, and you go, they're at a gap, and they're stuck at the gap. They're not going to move, but you're at 70% less repairs. You have to be at 135. You have no place to go. You have one option, right? What do? You pack up your bag and you have to walk out the door. You lose. You cannot monetize that lead, that appointment, because you have one option. So what if you add another option, right? And what we do is we call it 15 to 30-day flex option. And you've seen this done with other wholesalers or in the co-wholesaling market. But rarely people do it with sellers. So what we do in our presentation, we say, listen, Mr. Seller, I understand you need to be at 155, but our cash offer price is at 135 that we're comfortable in. Okay, and we know that you are comfortable at 155, and that's your bottom line price. But here's the deal: at 135, I can sign the contract with you right now. I can commit to it, and I know for a fact that we can get this deal done. Okay, and quickly. But if you really need the 155, here's our other option. What we could do, Mr. Seller, is that I have a connection with a large investment group, right? And they have people, international buyers, Canadian buyers, hedge funds, and they sometimes have the ability to pay more than I do for properties. Now, I'm not a realtor and I cannot represent you. Maybe you are. This is why I have to say, because I'm not a realtor. But what can happen, what we can do is we can get a 15-day or a 30-day option on the property. And what we'll do is this will give me the ability to talk to these other investors. And what I can do is see if I can help you sell the property for your 155. Is that fair? And they go, yeah, oh, that'd be great. I'm not going to charge a commission or a fee or anything like that. We'll just lock it up to 155 and see what we can do. Now, what we have found is you get it for the 155, you put it out for 159. And guess what? Someone comes along, if you have a buyer's enough or buyer's list or whatever that's large enough, someone comes along because the market's heating up and they buy it, right? Or that's the first thing that could happen. The second thing that could happen is the seller starts to get antsy, or you get an offer. And an offer comes in at 149. You go back to the seller and say, listen, I got an offer from someone. Here's the price. The highest they can do is 145. Can we close this sucker and we can close it by next Friday? So now you turned a dead deal into a $4,000 deal, and that $4,000 deal could pay part for marketing. See, most people would walk away from that deal, but what we do is we come in and we offer them another option. Here's the next option. Okay, so you meet with the seller, and the seller they need 145. You're at 135, but they go, oh, I have a $140,000 loan. Oh man, there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry. I can't. We got to be at one. Boom. What do? And they want to make a couple $1,000s. Well, listen, Mr. Seller, what we could do is we could leave your existing loan in place of $140,000, right, for the term of maybe say 5 years. We could get you, maybe $5,000, $3,000, right? And we have buyers that are looking for specific properties that we can place in your property. And it's all will go through a title company. They'll have a servicing company that will manage all the payments. So the buyer will submit payments to the servicing company. The service company will submit it to the bank, and there'll be a complete audited trail, right, for the seller, for the buyer and for you. And what we can do is we can help facilitate the situation. We have all the paperwork and everything and make it happen for you. And what you do is you do an assignment on an investor wrap deal, and you could sell it to an investor. Or you could do a listing. There's two ways you can monetize a listing. Either I have a realtor that's on staff, and the realtor on staff, so all the leads that are potential listing leads, they get the listings, and we get a percentage of the listing profit. And that's an extra $8,000 to $10,000 a month of just listing revenue that comes in on dead deals. We even have a guy that all he does is work outskirt deals. Actually, we have two guys. We have one guy that we just on a deal we just closed today. All he works is mobile homes, because I hate mobile homes, right? And the other one, he works another guy that works only outskirt deals. So only deals are on the outskirts, and we have another guy that does mobile homes. We have listings, so I do listings, right? So if you have this, what happens is you can hit any lead that comes in. You don't care what it is. You have a way to monetize it. That's optionize them. Fast funding. I'm getting worked up here. I'm sorry, guys. I love this stuff. All right, so fast funding. There's two ways to do it. I'm starting a hedge fund. It's a long process. It costs $50,000. You have to go through the SEC, get all this. It's a crazy, right? It's to be able to do it. It's about 6 months to put it together. But it's going to be highly worth it. The second thing is you could partner with someone that is a hard money lender, right? Or a private money lender, or has private money, okay? And when you do that, what can happen is that you will run across deals, not every deal. You don't have to do every deal like this, right? But you will run across deals where speed will get you the deal. So what you do is you tell the seller, and now all the other investors, you typically go in with a 30-day close on a contract, right? And other investors are a typical 30-day close. And you say, listen, and the seller really wants to get this done. Say, listen, Mr. Seller, I know you want to get this done. You want to get it done quick. But you know what? Obviously, there's a time value of money. I'm going to have to move quick. I'm going to have to put your house in front of a priority. So I can't give you this price. If we want to get it closed by next Friday, I can be right here. And what happens is 9 times out of 10, if they are antsy and they want speed, and you can't do a 30-day contract, but you got to come in and close it quick, guess what? You'll get the deal and you'll get it cheaper. We're getting deals cheaper than everybody else, right? Right? Because we can close quicker. If we have an antsy seller and I know they're antsy and they're talking to a couple other investors, I said, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. What's the soonest one of the other investors can close? Oh, the other guys did like 30 days. The other guys did 20 days. How about I close this Friday? If I close this thing, this sucker this Friday, right? But guess what? I need to be at this price. If you can commit to that price, we can close it by Friday and I can get this sucker done. But what I'm going to have to do is move all my other properties in the background and put you right up ahead, and it's going to be full force ahead to get this deal done. So we need access to the property. We got to get our file complete. So if you're ready to that, we'll go full force and we'll get this sucker done. You want to get it done? Okay, great. So what happens is now you're on board working with them to get it done. And if you have the ability to do that, you'll close. Super credibility. And what's the deal do you make with your hard money lender? Just do a split with him. He'll fund it. He'll close it, right? You turn around and wholesale it and do a split. You're making money on a deal that you would typically not make money on because guess what? You'd lose the deal to somebody else. But now you lock down the deal for sure and you made something instead of nothing. Super credibility. What is credibility? It's instilling the feeling of trust and respect. That is what credibility is. Credibility is someone they can trust and respect you, right? They can respect you for the credentials, right? The credentials, right? That's why all my marketing, everything comes from 1-800-FAIR-OFFER, everything, for a credibility standpoint, in a trust and respect standpoint. Here's the deal, super credibility. For our association, when we're dealing with sellers, what will create super credibility in the eyes of the seller? Number 1, Better Business Bureau, A+ rating. That alone, because let me tell you one thing very incredible. And if you're doing something, watching TV, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're doing whatever, listen to me right now, real quick. Right now, the deals that we are getting, we do demographic research on our sellers. All of our sellers, because we do Monday morning meetings, we do a demographic research and we have an entire spreadsheet of every single deal that we've done, the property address, the zip code, the spread. We have it down to the age of the seller, the age of the property. We have it to the, what else we got? The nationality, right? The income level of the, and some of these things we have to guess on, right? And the situation. So what happens is we have a demographic profile that gives us laser-like targeting when we pull our mailing lists. Okay? Now, what we have found is that a bulk of the best deals that we have done are ages 50 and up. 50 and up. Either A 50-year-old is selling a parent's house that just recently passed away, or B, it's a person that's selling a house that they've had for years that they now want to get rid of it. And they're moving someplace else, or they're divesting. So what in that age demographic, what creates super credibility? A+ rating with a Better Business Bureau. We have got deals just because of that. And if you don't have that, and I do have that, or you don't have that, and a competitor has that in your same market, and we go talk to the same seller, you're toast, right? Because we're gonna clout that. We're gonna lay that all over the place. The brand 1-800-FAIR offer, a national recognized brand, right? The seller might know it or might not know it, but the bottom line is guess what? Fair offer. We associate ourselves with our title company. We talk about the title company. We talk about the title agent, right? Because why? It's association. Testimonials. Testimonials are incredibly important. That's why we have them inside the custom covert presentation, because testimonials gives third-party verification about who you are in your service that does two things. It builds trust and respect. So now picture this. You got a guy that goes in and meets with a seller, and he has a 1-800-FAIR offer shirt. He has a 1-800-FAIR offer card. He's clean. He's presented. He walks in. He has his iPad presentation. He's on time. He shakes the seller's hand, and he knows exactly just from the handshake what type of personality is. He knows on the going into the appointment what type of personality is, because he was able to read a certain portion of them prior in the phone conversation. They go in, he really hones in on the personality. He has the ability to build a deep level of liking and rapport with the seller, right? He has sincerity when he's listening to the seller and the stories, right? And you walk around the house, and before he talks about numbers or any negotiate anything like that, he makes sure he has that certain level of rapport. He sits down, he's talking to the wife and husband, and he's mimicking like a chameleon their personality. If they're analytical, they're analytical. If they're red, they're aggressive, and they're assertive. They're a driver. He's gonna be a driver. He's gonna chameleon people like themselves. So he's sitting down at the table. He's going through an iPad presentation that logically takes him through step by step exactly where we need to be. And he sits down and he has well-crafted closes, an A/B close, a hammer close. We have multiple other closes. And he brings out his purchase contract. If they're analytically, he goes through in detail with them. He discusses with them. He goes through and he signs that contract. And then you have the other guy that comes in. He shows up late. He doesn't know the personality type. He walks in the house. He has his folder and that's it. And it has a couple maybe low comps in there. He walks through the house. He has no branding, no shirt. He has a card that says Joe buys houses, right? Joe's a brand. Okay. Walks through the house. No credibility, no third-party association, no testimonials. Walks through the house, looks around, talks to the seller, has no clue what personality they are, sits down at the table, and basically blurts out a number with no logic and justification behind it. The seller goes, I appreciate it. Thank you for my order. Thank you for spending your time. But we're going to think about it. Maybe now's not the right time. And they're going to give you a blow-off move because they don't like you. They think you're unprofessional because you came in late, right? They don't take you seriously. There's no credibility there. There's no third-party association credibility there, right? And then you're going to get, well, listen, when's a good time I can follow up with you? Well, we'll call you if we're interested. I got to talk to a realtor and a couple other people, and see, we got to really make a decision if we want to do this. If you compare both investors, who do you think will have success in the long term? Who will start and guess what? You go all across, you start doing that, and what happens is the other investor that's not prepared, that's late, they're going to send out direct mail and postcards and go, it's not working. I don't understand why it's not working. It's not that it's not working. It's they're not working. Because guess what? We're doing deals. People are doing deals left and right. People go, I'm having so much trouble. It's not working. I don't know why. And see, the bottom line is when the market gets competitive like this, and now you're competing against other people, you have to raise your game. And one way to do it is through association and super credibility. So what did we do? right? Alex and I, well, we came up with 1-800 fair offer. It has the ability where you have a custom covert presentation, instant online web access, instantly have a uh, a A plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, instant credibility, which is easy. And Alex, are you ready to talk about why this works? Let me unmute you real quick because I know I talk a lot. Okay, you ready to talk about how this works, Alex?
Hey, man. Yeah, man, that's some awesome stuff you just went through there. That's game-changing information that will just, I mean, if people don't understand the process of what this really goes and how this all works. A lot of people just go into a house and wing it. But if you take a roadmap like that with building great rapport, delivering a great presentation, and then understanding the process and the way to walk a seller down to close and to bring them to a decision. I mean, that puts you head and shoulders times 10 above everybody else in the market. That's just awesome.
Yeah, and we're just getting started. We're going to show you exactly what how like 1-800 fair offer gives you the credibility,
Well, it
why it works.
ties everything together.
It ties
I mean,
everything
we talk
together.
about
Otherwise you're marketing, a postcard that basically says termination notice, and then
Well, I mean, that's why I came up with this whole thing, right? So a couple years ago, I, I'm very big into direct mail, and I mail a lot, and I mail a lot of those funny little postcards that like look like, wow, where the heck did this come from? And I realized my response rates were going down, as more people are coming into the market and more people are catching on to these little funny postcards and seeing that, they work, you get a response from them. But I thought to myself, I said, is this really going to give me long-term stability? Is this going to give me something that, how are these people going to remember me? Are they going to say, hey, yeah, grab that postcard right there that just came in with that funny verbiage. Well, there's like 50 of them over there, right? I was like, how are these people going to remember me? Are they going to say, yo, I'm Alex, yeah, give me a call. I'm a nice guy, give me a call. Or are they going to say, oh yeah, we got a postcard from 1-800 fair offer, and right then and there they know the phone number because they just said it, and it's a company and the website all at one time. And this is something that has really changed my business because now I'm no longer just a postcard in a stack. I'm a viable business that has association like we talked about through testimonials, national testimonials that now, whether it's my testimonial or your testimonial, it's a 1-800 fair offer testimonial. So now it's my testimonial on a national basis. Now I'm in a position where I can have immediate online credibility, and we didn't even get into that. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But
oh,
immediate
we will.
online
Yeah,
credibility.
we've got that. I'm going to get into in a second to it. That's going to be killer. So
I
here,
mean,
here we go.
I wanted something that was going to give me the credibility, number one, to get into the door, the memorability when you left the door, and just give you that professionalism that a lot of people are lacking nowadays. So.
Right. Which is killer. So the a brand. First off, there's two different things. There's a brand, and then there's a basically a vanity number. So there's the brand itself, and then there's a vanity number. So why does a vanity number work well, right? And then a brand. So first off, a vanity number works incredibly well because it increases response by 20 to 50%. Marketing campaigns are more efficient and more effective, right? Because now everything is geared toward 1-800 fair offer. 84% higher recall rate versus a regular phone number. So Alex, let's touch on that. So if you have a seller, they get a postcard, they get 1-800 fair offer, and they see it several times. Now when they think about selling their house, are they going to call Joe at 1234 Main Street? Or I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or
There we
whatever.
go. 877-321-5692. No
Yeah.
matter, no matter how good of a number you have, it's not going to beat 1-800-FAIR offer. So you got a postcard and you're just flipping through them and you just see all the 866 numbers, even the 800 numbers. No matter what, if you line up all those postcards and were to flip through them and look at every number and then look at yours and say, or just even put it in the middle of that. I mean, so take 1-800-FAIR offer, put it in the middle of all those postcards, flip through all those postcards, say 50 of them. Which number are you going to remember?
Right, higher recall rate. Instant brand name recognition is enhanced. They're simply unforgettable. 1-800-FAIR offer is unforgettable. So what happens is the part of marketing, and people ask me all the time, how many times should I mail to the same list? Okay. What's great about it is your response will increase over time as you mail to the same list with branded like 1-800-FAIR offer. When we mail the same list, our response rate steadily increases, which is amazing. Typically, from another standpoint, if you market from an unbranded standpoint, it actually decreases. Customers are 3 to 4 times more likely to contact a company with a vanity number versus anything else. Increase repeat and word of mouth, right? So someone say, hey, I'll call 1-800-FAIR offer. Okay. Prestige factor. We get leads that come in from 1-800-FAIR offer that, sometimes we don't even know where they come from, because we get people that talk to people about it. Prestige factor. Phone number retention increases 91%. That means if I flash 10 phone numbers in front of you and they're all just random numbers in 1-800-FAIR offer, you're going to have a 91% call rate on the 1-800-FAIR offer. Credibility, again, and prestige. Credibility is a huge thing, the super credibility, and it's gigantic in this business. All right. You want to get David online? Alex?
Let's get him.
So
Yeah.
he can, he's not on
Hey,
here.
David, you need to unmute. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I did.
Hey, nice picture, man.
David,
how you doing?
Good. Let me take you off speaker. All right, cool. I'm good now.
Good idea.
Yeah, I know I'm loud. I apologize. But that's
How you doing, Sean?
good, man. How are you, David?
Good. I haven't seen you since Phoenix.
Yeah. How's Philly doing?
Philly's banging, man. Philly's doing great.
Philly's doing
Kind of
great.
cold, but you know.
Cool. So
okay.
So I was talking to Alex, said he had an incredible story about kind of prior coming into 1-800-FAIR offer, then kind of after what happened with you after using 1-800-FAIR offer, or that process. So give us the listeners on here, everybody that is watching us right now, an idea of where you were prior, like right before you kind of met Alex and met us and decided to become a 1-800-FAIR offer licensee.
Man, it's been like such a journey. First of all, I started listening to Alex's podcast and your podcast almost at the same time, a couple years back.
Cool.
But I'd already been in the real estate business, and I made the cardinal mistake, I guess if you want to call it that, of borrowing money from banks. And then when the crash happened, all my equity got wiped out.
Right.
And I had probably close to 100 rentals. And on top of that, I was, flipping deals and rehabbing houses. And, when the credit crunch came, it basically, dried everything up.
Right.
Little by little. And then it was a slow collapse. And one of the properties that I had financed in a package with one of the lenders was my mom's house, my 75-year-old mother.
Right.
The house I grew up in. So, that house got foreclosed on. We were being harassed so badly by one of the lenders that me and my wife thought, well, you know what, we're probably going to have to move because it's that bad.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I was so my wife and kids left for Florida, and I was still here trying to figure out how to make money and how to support my family, and I'd have to travel back and forth every couple of weeks to Florida. I was down to like eating tuna fish,
Wow.
it was pretty bad.
Yikes. Tuna fish
Yeah,
with no mayo and no
a little bit of
relish
mayo
and no
and
onion
crackers,
salt.
saltine.
A little man. I can't
So yeah,
imagine.
that's where I was. I had no money for marketing. I was basically walking the streets with my business cards and just knocking on doors. I remember doing that on like Labor Day and Memorial Day. Um, so I remember I got an email from you, Sean, and I didn't know what it was about. I guess it was similar to the email that you sent out to the people on the webinar tonight. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to listen to this webinar while I start working on this website. So I started working on this website, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to the webinar, and I had no idea that it was, the pitch for 800 fair offer, and that included a website.
Right.
So while I'm doing the website, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm like, why am I even bothering doing this? So I listened to it, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I believe in what Sean's saying. Everything he's saying is, resonates with me. Sounds like he's, telling the truth. The problem is I didn't have the money. And so I was, that was like during the week, and I said to myself, well, I'm just going to ask a friend of mine to lend me some money so I can do this, so I can get the franchise.
Hmm.
And he's also my pastor, right?
Right.
So he's my friend, he's my pastor. And I showed up at church. It was like right around my birthday, like in July. And I invited him to my birthday party. He didn't show up. But when I walked into church, he gave me a hug and he handed me an envelope. And I thought it was like my birthday card. And it turned out to be a substantial check for about 5 times what the cost of the franchise fee was.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Almost fell out, and I
Wow.
never asked him for money, and I broke into cold sweats after church. I got into my car. I was shaking. I called my wife. I'm like, you're not going to believe what just happened. She said, what? And like she couldn't believe me. I took a picture of the check and I emailed or texted it to her.
Right.
So I came to him later and I said, hey, why did you do this? It's like totally out of the blue.
Right.
And he said, well, God told me to do this.
Jeez. Wow. I just got
I know this sounds like
goosebumps.
I'm making it up, but I
No,
swear I'm
I
not.
swear I just got goosebumps. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the things that I always like when I listen to your podcast the most, and it's something I really took on that I'd never taken on in my life, and I really want to acknowledge you for this, Sean. I never got an opportunity to tell you this, is what you talk about a lot is giving.
Yeah.
And before this all happened, even though I had like nothing, I started giving whatever I could. And as I started making money, I started increasing and increasing, my tithing.
Right.
And it's something I'd never done because it
Really?
didn't make any logical sense to me. But I really want to acknowledge you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. It's not for me. It's for
Yeah, I know.
it's the right
Well,
thing to do.
So so basically things started, once I got the franchise, one of the first deals that's probably the most memorable one for me was a guy called me. I looked at the address, and it was a neighborhood I grew up in, so I went to see him. Really nice house.
Was this
The
one of
guy,
your first calls, would you say?
yeah, it was one of my first calls from the website, as soon as I set up the Google AdWords.
Awesome.
With Alex. So he called me. I went out there. The guy was really bad shape. He was living in a $180,000, $200,000 house with no electricity, no water.
Wow.
I mean, it was bad.
Right.
He was addicted to drugs. He actually relapsed, and people started partying in his house. And once the cash was gone, so were they. So I remember that was like on literally on Halloween. So I took him to a
Wow.
diner. I remember this now. It's kind of like coming back to me. I took him to a diner. I said, hey, let's grab some food. I put some money in his pocket, and
Wow, man.
we closed. The house was free and clear because I forget where he got the money from, but he bought it a couple of years prior. We bought it for 85. Well, actually, I didn't have the money, obviously, so I did
Yeah.
a contract for 85 at the diner, and I called my friend who's my pastor as well, and he's like, well, I'll put up the money. And I said, all right, so he did the deal with me, and the guy moved out. We helped him get into a rehab, and we turned around and sold it a couple weeks later for about 150,000.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. So then when we went to, well, everything was in his name, so I figured we were gonna split it, and he'd known my mother and my family for many years. So when we went to closing, he shows up. I'm happy that we're closing, whatever. And when the proceeds check comes, he says, "Look, I really want your mom to have this money because she lost, the house." And I said, "Totally, I agree with you." So we actually used the money to help buy my mom a new house.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's probably the one that's like the most memorable.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, yeah. I mean, he's an awesome guy.
That
Like,
maybe one of the most amazing stories I've heard in a long time, actually.
Wow.
I mean, that's incredible.
That is incredible.
and I've
I
been
mean,
like
wow.
keeping tabs with Alex, this whole time.
Yep.
Like he's basically walking me through, right from the beginning. And I really want to acknowledge Alex. He's been really great with me as well.
Yep.
And
I appreciate that, man.
I just texted him a list of some of the properties that I've been working on. In the last couple of weeks, we've been pretty much almost averaging one deal a day.
Jeez. So that's amazing. That's amazing. So you've in 2014 you killed it then, huh? Just
Yeah, I figured we did about 75 transactions.
that's amazing.
And,
That's crazy.
and I think
So that's life change.
Sorry?
Would you say
That's what
that?
I said, man. His life has been changed.
I mean, would you say that's life changing or?
I think more than anything, I had to lose everything so that I could be ready for this opportunity in a way.
Wow.
I had to sort of bottom out. And, that gave me a really good, attitude adjustment. And, everything happens for a reason.
Wow. Our stories are very similar, not as with a pastor and stuff like that, but that's it's funny because imagine if you would have kept all the 100 houses and I know when I had a bunch of houses and I flipped them and I thought it was, hey, I'm brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God literally took me to my knees and said,
Yeah.
okay, what do you want me to do? I'm open. Then
Right.
things happen, things change, but
Wow.
I am so happy for your success, David. That's
My wife is actually listening. She's back in Philly. My kids are back in Philly. My family's reunited. My mom's got a place to live that she loves. And the business is great. The opportunities are great, but they're only as good as what
everything.
you do with them.
Right.
And
That's right.
if you're not taking care of the people that you love, if you're not taking care of your spiritual life, if you're not taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and all those aspects, it all means nothing. It all means nothing.
Right. It's called the whole package.
That's right.
How to get the whole pack, because it's funny when you chase after money, it tends to retreat.
Run away.
Yeah. And if it's but if it's I heard a very successful person once say, said when you get your life in order, then then all the finances just come in. So, so what is getting your life in order? Well, being right with your kids and being right with your family and being right with your creator and being right on how you
That's
live
right.
your life and, and stuff like that. And I think if you do that all the way around, then you become a magnet for
Right.
for things that just come your way miraculously, then it's crazy.
That's right. That's right.
So
Amen.
yeah, that's incredible inspiration. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm going to have you on my podcast and interview you a little bit
I
more
would
in depth.
be completely honored.
That will be awesome. Yeah, it's a great
Mhm.
great story.
Yeah, awesome story, man. Would you say a lot of your marketing that you did was, I mean, the AdWords that we set up? I mean, I'm on the back end on the admin. I mean, I see all the leads coming in from all over the country, and I see Philly, 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 Philly. So you're really making the system work for you. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's been the first time that I've ever had any type of online presence. And, ironically,
Yeah.
when I was trying to figure out how to do all this was when I heard, your call, and when I decided to, I just, you know, I left that aside and I just pursued this opportunity because I figure it's it's a business and it's a business system. And, just like anything else, something's only as good as how you work it,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And someone can give you the best system in the world that can create the best opportunity, but man, if you don't work it, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no.
And
Some
Philly
people
is
some people bought licensees at some counties and did nothing with it, and then some
Mhm.
people have done amazing things with it. And some people like me, I made it my entire core
Sure.
front end acquisition model. From my guys have
Mhm.
shirts, they have cards, they walk in presentations, they we answer the phone 1-800 fair offer. Everything comes from 1-800 fair offer, and
Mhm.
it basically just gives a consistency through the whole entire business, and it keeps my whole team focused on exactly who we are, number one, what we stand for, and then what our mission is.
Right.
So
You created a culture and an identity. And look, you're a Marine. I've never been in the military, but I've spent most of my life doing martial arts,
right.
jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, Kung Fu. And, there's a certain, focus that you have to have when you do those things because if you're not paying attention, you're going to get knocked out or choked out.
Right.
That's true.
And I take a
That is
lot of that intensity and focus, into my business life. And focus is everything, and attitude is everything. And, being open as well to things that can work and be effective. It's big. It's very big. And I had to, be honest with myself about not having an online presence, about not really having this name brand awareness. And when you don't have that things, it really doesn't feel like a real business, just from my perspective.
Yeah, it does, and it does give you confidence, and I know my guys when they go in, they're going confident because they know they have credibility behind them, instead of just going in with I'm just trying to get this house type of thing for Joe buys houses, or what I mean, so, or Sean buys houses.
Right.
So
Well,
Absolutely.
it's interesting when you say that, not having that brand recognition and not having the online presence and stuff like that. I had a lead the other day from somebody, and the seller, I agreed to give him his asking price over the phone, and even at that point, he wasn't ready to do business. He wanted to meet me. He wanted to just see me in action. So I went out there with business cards and presentation and all that stuff, and we got the contract. But if he wasn't willing just to, just hey, send me a contract, I'll send it back signed. I think those days are every now and then you might get a lead like that, but most people want to see you and want to know and trust that they're doing the right thing, and
right.
having a brand really helps that.
I mean, my experience tells me that, and this is what I tell my guys because I have guys working the streets, my sales team. I said, listen, guys, when it comes to people, let's say over the age of 50, don't try to send them an email closing them online, with an agreement of sale.
Yeah.
Go over there, take the time, sit down, look them eye to eye, sit knee to knee with them, and close the deal, because that's what they want. The world's a very different place for them and how it occurs, and you want to make people feel comfortable. It's the bottom line.
That's
And
awesome.
people will do business with you that way.
Right. Well, David,
Absolutely, man. We appreciate
thank you
you.
so much. We appreciate you and appreciate you coming on here and spending your time with us. And then we'll hook up. I'm moving into my office tomorrow, so I'm excited. But we'll hook up next week, and we'll have to record a full episode with the entire story. I'm excited to hear it.
Awesome. God bless you guys.
Cool. You too. God bless you too.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Just mute yourself on your phone like you did before.
Here we go. We're good. All right. So we're talking about online presence, right? So we got instant online presence, and he's talking about those leads coming in are from Google AdWords. So if you don't know what Google AdWords is, it's basically a platform where if you type in "sell house fast," they'll have different ads, and these are ads that come up and all the way down the side here and all the way up. And when someone clicks on the ad, they can go to a page just like this, and this is the 1-800-FAIR offer landing page. That is a extremely high converting page for sellers to land. Now, typically what happens is you have to build this website. You have to build it. You have to test it. You have to do A/B split test on it. You have to see how it converts. And typically when you do this, you have to do multiple different pages to be able to, get a better quality score with Google. So your ad bidding goes down. The other thing too is then not only just setting up the website and setting up everything on there when it comes to, using like Dreamweaver, which is a HTML editor to be able to upload it through your server. So you have to get a hosting account with like GoDaddy. Then you have to use a thing like FileZilla that will be able to transfer files from your computer up to the server, and then you have to have all the extensions correctly to make sure all the code is done correctly. It's a very cumbersome process to be able to not only build the website, launch a website, and then have it convert the way you want it. So the cool thing about 1-800-FAIR offer is it comes prepackaged with a site that's already done. And then if someone enters their information in here and presses continue, what happens is there's a back end routing system that will automatically route that lead directly to you, which is great. So Alex has spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have a back end system that's very complex, to where if someone calls 1-800-FAIR offer, they'll go through a routing system. They'll put in their zip code of the property they want to sell, and that phone call will be automatically routed to you. So if someone lands on this page, a seller can call 1-800-FAIR offer, right? And they can do that, or they can type in their information. Guess what? That will be routed to you. So that's one thing. It can take countless hours. You have to hire a web developer to be able to build this, and to try to launch Google. Google is an animal to where you have to have at least a budget of probably $20,000 to $30,000 just to dive into Google, so you can test to figure out which of the have the highest converting keywords. So how Google works is you dump in a bunch of keywords into Google. Sell house fast quick, sell house quickly, sell house probate. There's 50 million keywords. You throw them in. There's actually over 5,000. You dump them into Google. You let it run for 2 or 3 months. You have what's called the conversion tracking pixel on the site. And then what happens is it tracks conversions down to a keyword level. And then what you do is you get rid of all the keywords that are not converting and only focus on the keywords that are converting. And then you're off and running to the races, right? But you need a gigantic budget to be able to do it. The cool thing about this is, here's a snapshot of my Google AdWords account right here. It's and this is over a period of time, but converted clicks, right? So that's how many conversions we had, right? Cost per conversion, in total cost, $447,000, right, in our Google AdWords account. So our average deal
Multiple
size,
years, right?
what's that? What?
Multiple years.
Yeah.
Multiple years?
Yeah. So average deal size, that's 24 months. The average deal size, 11,115. One deal every 5 leads. So we're closing one deal every 5 leads. So that's about 220 deals. Total revenue off those is about 2.46 million. So total ROI off this was roughly $2 million. So Google AdWords is incredibly profitable. The cool thing about having this right here, it has an immediate online presence, and it's mobile friendly. So a lot of websites right now are not mobile friendly, so you cannot bid on mobile devices. But what happens is now mobile traffic is gigantic. Mobile traffic, people are on their phones. Sellers sometimes don't have TVs, but they have a phone. So they'll go on the phone, they'll type in, if your ads are not optimized for mobile and your site's not optimized for mobile, then guess what? You're not going to be able to convert those leads. So a seller will go on there and they'll either click the call right on the website right there, or they're going to fill in the information, which is right there present in front of you. Having a mobile presence is gigantic. It's the wave of the future. It's been the wave of the future. There's so many more conversions on mobile. It's still. I think it's. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's about a 60-40, 60 online, 40% mobile. So you're missing out on 40% of the conversions just because you're not mobile friendly. And to get a website mobile friendly, it's incredibly difficult. You need what's called cascading tables to be able to have cascading tables to be able to inside. You have to have a web developer that knows how to create those cascading tables to be able to build something like that. High converting landing page, all leads are automatically pushed to you that come through the main site, which is cool. So let's talk about now. So Alex, if someone was going to basically go try to buy a basically a vanity number, right, and then set all this up, give them an idea of the total cost it would to basically set this whole thing up.
Oh boy. Well, to try to find a vanity number like 1-800-FAIR offer, you're going to have to spend a minimum of $50 to $100,000 or more to own a national vanity phone number that
Yeah.
spells out words like that.
Yeah, because they've all been taken by big
Impossible.
companies, right?
Yeah, I mean, 1-800 Home Depot is like whoever owns that is like leasing that to Home Depot and holds them hostage because they own that phone number.
Right.
It's crazy the way the vanity number business works. But if you are able to tap into something like this for what we're talking about here, it's powerful because you don't have to spend $50,000 to $100,000 to try to build it yourself, and that's just to get the number. That's not the back end. That's not building the website. That's not doing anything. And keep in mind here, this is a licensee situation, not a franchise. So a licensee is different than a franchise because you run your business. It's not like there's overarching rules like a franchise has, type of thing. So
Right. And you don't have to take profits and then send it back to like a franchise. You have to send profits and
exactly.
send it back, whereas you get to keep 100% of your profits, which is good, which is great. So give them an idea about the back end, about the phone system, and about the routing, so they can feel confident that as they drive traffic to a 1-800-FAIR offer website or phone number, that it will be routed correctly.
Okay. It's really neat the way it's set up because as an investor and understanding the way phone calls work and when you mail somewhere and just making sure everything gets routed the right way, we have it set up so that it's based on zip code. So you can mail to Timbuktu and the person will pick up the phone in Timbuktu, and if they have a house located in let's say Virginia, where I'm at, they're going to go into the system and it's going to say, "Hi, thank you for calling 1-800-FAIR offer. Please enter the zip code of the property you're looking to sell." So no matter where they're located, if the property is located in your licensed county, you will get that lead because the zip code is in your county. So that's the smartest way to route this and to make sure everybody gets the leads that they're marketing for. A lot of systems are not even set up that way. So if they're in Timbuktu and they call, the licensee in Timbuktu is going to get that lead. So we do it. It's specifically set up, by a real estate investor or by real estate investors, Sean and I, for real estate investors, because we understand the way that all works.
Right. And honestly, Alex has been the complete technical person with his web developers to basically build this thing, and I give him 100% of the credit because he's done a phenomenal job in being able to get everything right. So people that are either in Philly or they're in Los Angeles or in Phoenix or in that all can drive traffic to a 1-800 website and then have all those leads be routed correctly to the right representative and licensee is a gigantic task. It's an incredibly expensive task to be able to do, and it's taken a lot of time to get it done to work correctly. So here's what you get when you become a licensee. First off, is you get a 1-800-FAIR OFFER vanity number. That means it's now your number. 1-800-FAIR OFFER is where you can put on your marketing. You can put it on your postcards. You can put it on your website, whatever. You already have a website, but it becomes your front end marketing engine. Own the rights to the entire county. Now, this is very powerful. Because we just spoke to David, right? And what happens in other companies that are similar to this that shall name nameless is that they sell zip codes. So, and it's incredibly expensive to own all the zip codes in the entire county. So when Alex and I were discussing pricing on how to price this, we initially thought about doing zip codes, but I don't want to own 10 zip codes and then have another competitive person in the market have another 10 zip codes. We have overlap marketing, and then leads come in. They have to be routed to certain zip codes. And then what if a guy does a radio ad? And he has a radio ad, but then is driving leads to me. What if I do a billboard ad that's driving leads to him, right? So what we came up with is having that you own your entire county. So what does that do? That gives David, right, who's a licensee in Philadelphia, he owns that entire county. No one else can come in and take that county from him. No one else can come in and market 1-800-FAIR OFFER in that county. If they do, we can send them a cease and desist order. Okay, and obviously they wouldn't. Why would you market 1-800-FAIR OFFER
David's really going to like them.
Yeah, I know. If they do, it's going to drive all the leads to him because he's the one that's getting the back end leads. So it'd be stupid for someone to come in and do it. So the bottom line is that the only one person can own the rights to a county. And Alex and I went back and forth about that, but because literally, from a business standpoint, from a business standpoint and a monetization of the business standpoint, it's probably giving up millions of dollars, I can tell you, for not doing it the other way, and that's why everybody else does it that way. But like I said, it's made by investors for investors. I wouldn't buy the franchise the license if I only could buy X amount of zip codes. I'd be out. And I told him that. I said, I'm out if it's going to be like that because I don't want to deal with it and I don't want to promote it. So 1-800-FAIROFFER.com, high converting website, which has just been updated for dynamic keyword insertion. So one part of Google to create a quality score is have keywords throughout the site. What happens is the site automatically dynamically populates the site with the keyword the seller has typed into their browser. So what is that?
So it updates even the pictures and all everything. The different little things, the background text, the meta tags, the HTML,
everything.
the H1 tags, all that stuff gets that. So your quality score goes way, way, way up, which means your cost comes way, way down.
So what happens is someone types in, I buy houses, Chesapeake or whatever, then it will dynamically insert throughout the website that specific keyword, which will not only create relevance to the seller that hits the site. Have you ever been to a site before and it says, "Hi, Joe Blow," or "Hi, I see you're here from Phoenix, Arizona," and it actually knows where you are. It can be done by IP address, and it can be done by dynamic insertion. So it takes a ton of money. It's very, very difficult to create that on your own, any type of independent website. That's why this is so killer. Customized email address. SEO optimized 1-800-FAIR-OFFER website ranking for #1 for their county. A fully optimized Google PPC campaign for a lightning fast start. So you will get, and see what happens is, we've tested campaigns all over the entire country, know what the best keywords are, know what the best ads are, know what the best campaign structure is, and then we give that to you, and it's literally a point and click upload, and you're online within 24 hours or less. It is the fastest way to have a website and online immediately to start getting leads. Branded marketing, logos to use, business cards, high converting postcards, high converting yellow letters, bandit signs, door hangers, letterhead, everything completely branded with a 1-800-FAIR-OFFERS logo. We have a mail center where it has all the high converting postcard, all the high converting letters, everything inside there, which all you do is you point, click, you put in the information of who you are, the return address, you upload a list, and you press send. It's comparable to what's it called? Click to mail pricing. All the pricing for the postcards are click to mail, are actually cheaper than click to mail, and it's a mail center. So you just it has all the postcards. You can do geo targeting if you want. It can be handwritten. It's everything in there that we use for our business is inside this portal, which you can have access to as a 1-800-FAIR-OFFER licensee. So you also get a membership type site. We have a membership site where Alex and I did extensive training on explosive entry into your local market so you can get started and get leads ASAP. This is on demand, so it's there. It's ready for you. You can watch. You don't have to wait for anything. You get instant you get login information within 24 hours, and then you go in and you can have access to it. Business systems: how to strategically promote your business for the highest returning highest return with least effort. Week 3 is how to go from where you are to 100K a month with 1-800-FAIR-OFFER, exclusive behind the scenes blueprint. And behind building out the brand, how to literally own your market, how to be seen everywhere by everyone, become the go-to investor in your market, internet marketing secrets. So it's where they want. Like, I have 1-800-FAIR-OFFER in the phone book. I'm the only guy in the phone book right now that markets for any type of We Buy Houses type of thing. I have a beautiful ad. It's all color, and it's completely targeted to that demographic, and we get tons of leads off it. So if someone goes to the phone book, they'll find me. Someone goes online, they'll find me. Someone, gets a postcard, gets a letter in the mail, they'll find me. Someone, we're on the radio. Someone listens to a radio, they'll find me. So it's all over the place. And if you're all over the place, you'll get leads. If you get leads, guess what? You'll do more deals. We're also, Alex and I are doing a live 2-week fast start training. And it's the Getting Online ASAP launch, launching your AdWords campaign and get leads coming in ASAP. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you through the exact process of uploading your campaign using a software called AdWords Editor that's free, show you how to set up an account and get you online ASAP. You don't have to build any sites. You literally download a file, a CVS file. We show you how to do it, upload it to the AdWords editor software that's free, and then upload it to AdWords, and you'll be online that quick. So we'll show you how to do that. And the exact process from start to finish to getting a contract signed for a motivated seller. We're going to go more in depth and answer your questions on reading personality types, overcoming objections, boxing the objections, and getting real in depth on conversion. How you can become great, how to use the custom covert presentation in your business. You will get the custom covert presentation. A part of that, you can download it. It's a Keynote file. It's for your iPad, and you can use it, download it, and use it in your business, which is awesome. So you get the vanity number, It's way more than 24.90. It should be 249,900. Own rights to your entire county. 1-800 Fair Offer high converting website. Customized email address for you. SEO optimized 1-800 Fair Offer website ranking for #1 in your county. Fully optimized Google PPC campaign for a lightning fast start. It's worth way more than that. Like I said, I spent $447,000 on my campaign, make sure it's optimized, and you get to have it for just a quick download. Logos, use business card, high converting postcards, high converting yellow letters, bandit signs, door hangers, letterhead, exclusive access to the 1-800 Fair Offer mail center with negotiating pricing, a 4-week on-demand intensive memberships site where you can have all of our previous videos, access to the mail center, access to the lead center. We have a lead center where you can check your leads. 2 weeks live fast start training starts February 19th, 2015 in 2 weeks. And it's $14.97 value and 5-star rated support. Chelsea's on staff just to support you for any questions or any back end issues like that. So it's amazing value. It's a $16,167 value for becoming 1-800 Fair Offer licensee. And I want to let you who this is not for. Okay, I want you to be specific and listen to me who this is not for. If you are, well, I mean, David obviously found a way to make it happen. But if you're in a situation where you're broke and you can't, and you're struggling and you're trying to get your first deal and you can't afford marketing and you're in a bad situation, I would not recommend this for you. Okay, I would go out, get a couple deals, handwrite yellow letters, handwrite postcards if you have to, do whatever you got to do to get that first deal and get a couple deals in your pocket, and then come back and then think about doing this if your county is available. But if that's your situation, I would say it's not for you. It's not someone who's too lazy. We don't want to sell a county to someone that's going to do nothing with it. We don't want to have someone, I want to buy a county because they're excited and I want to do it. I'm going to be great. I'm going to do my, and then they just don't do anything with it because that's what they do. It's not for someone who can't commit to their success. Again, we don't want to sell a county to someone, a whole entire county, to them, and then have them do absolutely nothing with it. It doesn't do anything for the long term of the brand. It doesn't do anything like that. Not for someone who is negative, because we don't want to deal with you. Not for someone who's looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not a get-rich-quick. This is not a push-button type of deal. This is not where, I'm going to buy this and then I'm going to get rich. You have to market your brand, right? It's marketing. You have to market 1-800 Fair Offer. You have to use the websites and drive traffic to it. You have to use the postcards and the branding and the Better Business. You have to use that stuff to be able to get without leads coming in your business. There's no use in having 1-800 Fair Offer. Okay, so it's not a get rich quick where just this is a business. You become a licensee that you can go out and you can literally change your life like it did for David and many others. Not for someone who is needy and whiny. We don't. You know what? One thing great about this business, we're both self-employed. We're both entrepreneurs, just like you guys are entrepreneurs. You want to work with good people that are respectful, people that are nice people that we can help build the brand for. So who is this for? It's someone who can afford some marketing, someone who is self-motivated, someone who can commit to success, and someone that's a positive person, and someone really looking for a long-term lasting business. Right? Just like Alex said, just like David said, something they can put into. This is my front end marketing engine. Everything, the way we answer the phone, the way we do everything is from 1-800 Fair Offer. It makes everything clear, concise, confident. We know where we stand and we know our marketing. So it's great. Is someone who is a self-starter. So what we did is we tried to figure out pricing on this thing. Okay. So what we did for pricing is we looked at every other company in the marketplace. Every other company is selling zip codes by the month, right? Monthly. Look at that. See right there? Monthly recurring, right? So this particular one right here, it's $34,000 for these right here. If you want to get Dallas County, it's $3,362. There's a $4.99 setup fee and a $34,356 a year to have that. So that's $2,836 a month. Okay, so if you want the county of Dallas for this, and I'm gonna make them nameless, that would cost you $34,000 a year to get all the zip codes to be able to own that. So why would you want 3 zip codes, right? And then have other, it doesn't make sense to me. So here's another one. If you wanted to get Dallas County and get all the zip codes, right? Your monthly license fee. Do you see that? Monthly license fee is $14,744. That's $176,000 a year. That is the demand for this. That is the worth, right? If you don't know about vanity numbers, because it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to set up and function correctly. Here's another one that shall remain nameless. They charge $50,000 right up front, $50,000 for a full business franchise, right? And they have to share profits. An associate franchise is 15, and here's what they do. They sell multiple franchises in the same area. Here in Phoenix, I'm going to make them nameless, but they have like 5 or 6 5 to 6 people paid $50,000, and guess what? They have to share in the leads. They have to give your profits back. We don't do that. So here's the thing, right? So Alex and I sat back and talked about it and said, listen, should we charge everybody $176,000 a year? Think about it. Imagine if we did that. That's for one. So I told you we're leaving millions and millions of dollars on the table, pricing it so cheap that we priced it, right? Because the bottom line is that we could charge by the zip code and all over the entire country, and we could bring them in 100. But you know what? We've looked at it, and from an investor standpoint, I was like, I don't want to do that. We should do it this way and do it by a county only. So guess what? You don't have to do 50,000 like that other franchise, not 34,500 like that other one. Won't even have to be 15, not even 10, not even 7, right? So what's the total investment for 1-800-FAIR offer licensee franchise with all the websites, with the training, with the personality type training, with the custom covert presentation, with the AdWords campaign, with all the mail piece and everything? One-time license fee is $4,997 per county, one time. That is a one-time, and then there's a $19.97 annual maintenance fee because we have a full-time web guy on staff. We have obviously a full-time support staff, and we have a complete back-end integration. Okay, so that's what it is. First come, first serve. Only one license per county. So that means if your county's taken, then guess what? You could get another county and you could market virtually in that county. We have people that purchase counties that are outside their county and do virtual marketing. So here's the first fast action bonus for the first 5 people. The $19.97 annual fee will be reduced 90% to $197. So it'll be the one-time fee, and then it'll be that annual fee will be reduced. And we can't do it for everybody, but we can do it for the first 5 people that are the fast action bonus. For the first 5 people, they'll get that fee will be reduced to $197. Okay, so go now, secure your spot at 1-800-FAIRoffer.com/register, 1-800-FAIRoffer.com/register, and you can go there now, and you'll be able to check your county. Now, here's the deal: if your county's taken, don't be discouraged because you can get another county, and you can market virtually and do virtual deals in that market. Now, Alex does virtual marketing. I know Joe McCall does a ton of virtual marketing. But there's lots of people who do virtual marketing in other different markets, and this is a great way to enter into that market. Second fast action bonus for the first 10 people. You have a VIP invitation to my office here in Phoenix for a one-day mastermind at my office. We're going to go through, bring everyone together, talk about marketing, talk about the business, talk about everything. You can come out here for a vacation to come out here to Phoenix and then we'll have a 1-day mastermind, and we can hang out. We'll go to dinner with everybody. It'll be a blast. Okay, that's for the first 10 people. So here's the deal. So what's the total? It's a $49.97, and we have a single pay option, and then we have a 2-pay option. Okay, if you want to finance it. So we have a single pay option of $49.97 and a 2-pay option of $26.97. And like I said, if you're in a situation where you're struggling to get marketing money, like I said, this is not for you. This is for someone that wants to get a business and understands the value of everything we put into this. So let's recap. Here's everything you get. For become a licensee, 5-star support, VIP invitation. So that is a $20,167 value. It's a one-time. So think of it, if you're one of the 5 and you're one time and it's $197 a year, where these guys are paying $34,000 a year. So go to 1-800-fairoffer.com/register, 1-800-fairoffer.com/register. So the custom, I'm going to tell you where the objection annihilation method is right now. If you go to 1-800.com/register, oops. If you go here now, this is what it looks like. And there is the stud Alex Youngblood. And then if you see this download link right here, can everybody see that? Right there, download here. That is the objection annihilation method. That's the script right there for the objections. This is the page you want to go to right here to secure, put your name, email, and get started. And then you'll go to the next page where you can pick your county and go through there. So, Alex.
Hey, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one thing about using the virtual method, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
The really cool thing here is if people understand once you have the license and the brand, or let's say you for whatever reason your county might be taken, which is very, very possible. If you know that you have the ability to flip a switch and be online in any market in the country that you choose, you can build a business around that. I mean, because basically one of the things that I've been doing, and this is pretty cool for a county, let's say that we don't have a license. What I'll do is I will find a wholesaler in that market that's already doing business.
Yeah.
And we'll say, hey, I've got a great marketing system. All I have to do is flip a switch. If you want, I'll market in the county. I'll handle the leads. You run them down, and we'll split the deals and make money. You could build a business around that.
Oh, huge, gigantic.
When people understand that, I mean, it's literally flip a switch. You're marketing, leads are coming in, and you can process those leads, hand them off to other wholesalers who are already doing business, who already have buyers lists, who are good at talking to sellers. I mean, it's literally flipping a switch and shoveling off leads to and JVing. It's awesome opportunity.
Cool. That's cool. Here's I've got some questions. We can start taking some questions right now. So I got Calvin Sibley. He's in Miami-Dade, right? So he's like, I love to do it, but I
he
think
must be very sad.
Yeah, Miami-Dade is taken, right? So what do you do? So what in his case right now? So, and you just talked about doing virtual. If you go in and your county's taken, right? Don't go, throw your hands up in the air and say, I'm not going to do it. That's ridiculous, right? Pick another corresponding county in the area and do exactly what Joe McCall has built his whole entire wholesaling business of finding other wholesalers in those markets and then driving leads to 1-800-FAIR-OFFER, right? So in that specific area. So he turns on a Google AdWords campaign. He sends out some letters in the area. He gets the leads that come in, sets appointments to get them under contract, and then be able to do deals with other wholesalers in the market.
Yeah, you've got the marketing engine.
Yeah.
You've got the power.
So this is from Ross. This is from Ross. He goes, any discount on multiple counties? Why is
I
that
would say
happening?
buy a county, and we'll talk about it if the other ones are still available.
Okay. So that's to you, Ross. Also any niche marketing list, training on marketing, research training. Oh yeah. We can go through that. Uh and I can talk about my demographic. I'll talk about my demographic marketing. Some of the
On that
demographic.
fast start training.
Yeah, and the fast start training, we'll get you up online, and we'll also talk about targeted marketing, direct mail targeted marketing with 1-800-FAIR offer, the different letters, different postcards we're using, and also list targeting, where we get the list and all sorts of stuff like that. It's pretty ninja. You get this. This is from Nate Kenny. How do you get the strip again? Go to 1-800-FAIRoffer.com/register, the page I'm on, and see this little download here button right here. Nate, can you see that? Nate Kenny, can you see that? Boom, right there. So this is from Mabecca. What's the difference between this and what I teach in the Flip to Freedom Academy? It's the understand is that having a website, having Google AdWords, having getting leads are coming in, and then being able to convert these. A lot of the Flip to Freedom Academy is about converting leads. It's about marketing and list. You still have to get a list, but the only difference is you're driving it to a different mechanism, which is 1-800-FAIR offer. Okay. But you still have to get buyers. You still have to build a buyers list. You have to still negotiate with buyers. You still have to, be able to set up your business entities correctly. There's a lot of outside of this when it comes to business structure. How do you hire people? What compensation you pay them? What business structure do you have? Other than having a website and a Google AdWords campaign and having a presence and a marketing engine on the front end, it ties hand in hand, because you can have the marketing in the front engine. If you don't know how to evaluate a deal, if you don't know how to pull comps on a property, how do you know what to offer? So it goes in depth on that. This is from Art Scott. He goes, "What happens if you're interested in a program but you happen to be in the same county? Find a different county. That's the best thing I can say. Find a different county and focus on building. You can still do local deals here, but focus in that county. Find a wholesaler in that other county, and then build a relationship and do the deals virtually." Is this set up for one investor per county? Well, if you pool 2 or 3 investors together, then you guys are gonna have to figure out how to split the leads. The leads are only going to go to one
Very
person. They're
difficult
not
to do.
they're not going to round robin, to different people and stuff like that. It's basically set up for one person. But if you have a business partner and you and him want to get on and do stuff like that, you can. But that's on your side of the table. Another one, Megan. What happens if I have someone that has a county or zip code I operate in?
What?
Someone said I like the tuna and the brown bread.
Great story.
This is from Mike. He goes, "How much reasonable marketing money should we have?" You know what? The cool thing is, with Google AdWords, you can scale into it very quickly. You can turn around and you can start with a very, very small budget, right? A very small budget, even with direct mail. You can get a deal that comes in, and then you can take the profit or percentage of the profit, which I suggest 15%, and then put that back into marketing. Okay. You take 15%, put it back into marketing. If you do that, what you'll find, is that you'll start to build, and your 15% will grow. If you go out and make $10,000 and your 15% is $1,500, well, guess what? Now your monthly budget is $1,500. The next month you go out and you make $12,000. Now your marketing budget just goes up a little bit more, and that you can scale it that way by reinvesting 15% back into marketing. If your county's taken, is there a way to get on the waiting list? Yes, but the chances of them giving up the county is slim to none. Unless they're just one of those people not doing anything with it. But usually people step up and they get a county and they don't want to let it go.
Go
Um,
virtual, go close to it, see
yeah,
if you can work with them.
I think I answered that. This is from Audrey. He's like, so you understand, Audrey. He's like, should I do the Flip to Freedom Academy or should I do this? Well, Flip to Freedom Academy it's a complete different. It's like comparing an apple to an orange, right? This is a front end marketing vehicle. The Flip to Freedom Academy teaches you what to do next. You know what I mean? What to do with your, like I said, business structure, and how do you set up your team correctly? What other lists do you market to more in depth? There's a lot of how do you build your business and how do you scale it? What type of list do you target? What type of um, where do you put your money and investment? It's how do you negotiate even deeper at a deeper level? So the bottom line is, there's one of them is a front end marketing engine, right, that gives you brand and credibility, and it ties in with the education behind it. One's a tool and the other one's an education on how to use the tool. This is from Mike. He says, "Does 1-800 Fair Offer do any marketing to assist their county franchise other than to promote the sale of their brand?" Right now, no. In the future, yes, to a point. As we are building out fairoffer.com, as we build that out, we will be able to generate leads in specific areas and be able to help funnel them through TV advertising to
Well,
certain.
there are a lot of, it sounds, take it for whatever it's worth, but there are a ton of YouTube videos out there that have 1-800 Fair Offer on them that rank, you know, organically for different counties, and you get random leads just from that. Sometimes just because somebody might be in somewhere across the country and they have a house that's in your county. There's just there's a lot of different things about 1-800 Fair Offer on the website.
I want to go back to Audrey, who had the question right there. Which is which? Which should I do? Should I do this one or this one? Why do I do this? Anybody who signs up to this in 1-800 Fair Offer, I'll give you a free membership to the Flip to Freedom Academy.
Wow.
So you get a free membership to the Flip to Freedom Academy. If you do that, so free membership.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Spoke to visiting people looking to sell. So it says I spoke. You spoke to him about visiting people. If you're looking to sell in other states, various counties, what do you do? You spoke about visiting. If you sell in there Thursday, you can work. So Alex, right? So
Yeah.
we talk about meeting someone, going on a presentation, meeting them, being on time and stuff like that. And if you do it virtually, how do you overcome that? Well, what would you tell someone that asks that question?
Well, like I said, one of the best ways to do it is to pair up with another wholesaler in the area, right? And one of the best ways to do that is through my Facebook group, Wholesaling Houses Full Time. There's tons of wholesalers and people doing business. And if all you have to do is locate somebody that's already doing business in the area or wants to be doing business in the area, and they become your boots on the ground. And they'll be the ones that go out and talk and meet with the seller. And all you do is drive traffic and make things happen. I mean, if you're in a position where you can't do that, then you got to get really good on the phone, and you have to build some really good rapport on the phone with the seller, and let them know that my funding partner is going to be coming out to approve this deal, kind of thing, and almost they need to become your boots on the ground somewhat. But
The buyer.
I think the easiest way to do it, yeah, your buyer. Your easiest way to do it, though, is to pair up with somebody if if you can't get in that area, because I think it is becoming increasingly difficult to just be able to shovel a contract to somebody over a phone, or over email or fax if they're local. Now, however, if they're out of the state, then that's the only choice that you do have, is to send them a contract, and you can't meet with them. Then you can do phone and email, because that's all you can do. But it can be difficult if you can't get if you don't have any kind of boots on the ground to make it work. And you can even work. One of the other things you can do is find a realtor in the area. And what you can do is say, hey, I have these great leads coming in of people looking for fair offers on their house. If I give you these leads, and you can get some listings out of these, can you go out and take some pictures and kind of be my feet on the ground here? And now you've got somebody who's going to want to work with you, because they've got a free source of leads, number one, for listings, and it's a great relationship. I mean, I work with realtors that way, and it works out great.
Cool.
You can put a Craigslist ad out looking for a realtor to work with you, and if it's a motivated realtor, they'll find you, and that's obviously what you want, a motivated realtor.
Right. Exactly.
We
Right.
could talk
Was on the entire con, had to step away for the emergency. How much is so offer because I am of full price. 1-800 fair offer is right here. One payment of $49.97 or two payments of $26.97. And if you are one of the first 5, we'll waive. Oops. What do they do here? Lost that. Waive that, and there. Perfect. Yeah, if you don't have the capital right now, use the unbranded approach, but work on your skills to become a better person reading people and stuff like that, and then be able to essentially from that standpoint, when you have enough cash or capital, see if your county is available, and then you can purchase it then. What does it entail when I own a county? What does it entail? I think we went through everything. What does it entail? You get the vanity number, the rights to the entire county, 1-800 fair offer converting website, customized email address, seal optimized fair offer. All this stuff you see on the screen right here is what you get. What does it entail? It entails marketing.
You get to be
1-800
1-800 fair offer. That's what you get.
Right.
That's everything.
Yeah, you can. This is from Gary. Can you use other things to drive traffic? Absolutely. You can use bandit signs. You can search. You can do all sorts of things that you want to drive traffic to that. You can do radio advertising. You can do TV advertising. If you want to do TV ad, you can do. You can do. I'm in the process of creating a TV ad right now for 1-800 fair offer. Yeah, can we get other marketing collateral like logo shirts? Yeah, we have a whole thing with logo, with business cards and shirts and door hangers and all sorts of stuff that you can get that's strictly set up for 1-800 fair offer. This is a great question from Tanisha Williams. When working with a wholesaler in another county, how do you work with like paying like spreads and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what I do, and then and I'll let Alex kind of say what he does. So what I do working with, like, we're in Vegas right now, so I have a guy in the ground in Vegas, right? And I own the 1-800 Fair Offer franchise in Las Vegas, so you can't have it, sorry. Um, but in Vegas, Clark County, what happens is we market out there, and I get a guy out there, and basically I say here, and we actually lock it up over the phone, and then what we do is we send out here. We basically tell him what our price is for the property, and then he sells it to his buyers. So we'll say, okay, our price on this, we need to sell it at X, and then he'll tack on his fee and turn around and sell it to his buyers. So that's what we do. What do you do, Alex? That's your cue, Alex.
Oh, am I unmuted? Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to get
No,
back
no.
to the thing to unmute myself. Yeah, so basically what I do is, I mean, to make it appealing to the other investor, what I would do is I back out my marketing costs on the deal and then split the rest.
Okay, that's cool.
Simple answer.
Is this compatible with something like Podio? That's back to you, Alex.
Absolutely. I mean,
You just keep muting
we
yourself
can
or what?
we can
Stay
we
unmuted.
can have it set up so that the system forwards the leads to your Podio if you want.
Okay, cool. That's pretty cool.
You just have to give us I mean, because Podio gives you a specific email address for
Uh-huh.
your for that. So you just give that to us, and we'll put that in the system, and boom, it's done.
Yeah, what is the ongoing support for this? So I have a full-time staff that supports Flip to Freedom Academy and 1-800 Fair Offer. Her name's Chelsea. She's phenomenal. Um, every email that she sends out, or correspondence that goes back and forth, there's surveys at the bottom where people give surveys, and she consistently gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. She's phenomenal. She's full-time. I pay her full-time. I pay her a lot of money to just support Flip to Freedom and 1-800 Fair Offer. Anything outside of that would be through Alex primarily, because he knows the interface. But Chelsea sets up the routing. But Alex knows the interface, and any other like supporting questions that need help along that way can do it. We'll have the 2 weeks live, and then the mastermind at my office we can go through. So, but we're here to help support in the best way we can to help you guys. Obviously, make the most amount of revenue. This is from Audie. Are all 1-800 for offer marketing pieces only available through the mailhouse? No, I mean there are. I mean you can take screenshots and send them to your mailhouse if you want, and give them the logo and stuff. I use a mailhouse because I send over 50,000, and I get a better discount than they are willing to offer. But you have to send both. If you're sending 5 and 10,000 a month, and that by far is the best deal. If you're sending 50,000 and over, I can give you another referral. Cool. This is Ava Taylor. What's up, Ava?
Ava sounds like a good name.
Ava? Is it Mammoth County in Oregon? Are you going to give discounts for other counties? She just bought that one county, so I would buy the county, then call into Alex. Can you put to call or reach out to Ava Taylor and anybody?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, um, go ahead and get the county that you most want, and and we'll make a note, because we're going to have to be in touch with the new licensees anyway. So you can let us know at that time if you're trying to get the discount. We can't guarantee, like right now in between when we get in touch and stuff like that, it'll still be available. But if you wanted to grab the one you want now and wait for us to
Yeah.
get in contact with you, we'll
Yeah.
see what we can do for multiple counties. But you know, I'd say that's the best thing to do.
Yeah. So she did. She bought the county right there in Oregon.
Awesome.
So yeah. So got that. Okay. This is from Corey Hicks. How do you find out the personality type in that way? You understand their characteristics. You do it with handshakes. It's through multiple different things. It's asking the right questions. It's understanding their characteristics. It's listening intently for them to as you're. So it's almost like when I meet somebody, I can tell within after shaking their hand and tell within about a 5 minute conversation of exactly the personality type they are. Um, and it's done through the multiple handshakes. So you're listening and gathering information, and what you're doing is you're kind of compartmentalize or compartmentalize
Compartmentalizing.
compartmentalizing exactly how they're responding to what they do and there's certain questions, and you're putting all that and figuring out which compartment they fit in. Are they a driver? Are they social? Are they social conscious? Or are they analytic? This is from Quinn. When starting out, do you use a realtor that has a lot of experience or someone that's new? I prefer someone that's new. Someone with a lot of experience, they tend to have their own opinions and want to tell you how to do your stuff. I just want someone to do what I want them to do, and I don't want any back talk. I don't
Yeah.
want any education. I don't whatever. So yeah, so there's if you get the PayPal confirmation, you're good to go. And then your system's locked in. I don't you won't get a confirmation from 1-800 fair offer because I don't think it does it through PayPal. But once you have the PayPal, we have that information and you're good to go. You're locked in. So you're good. There we go. Okay, this is sheesh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I think we have the radio updated up in the inside the website, and then once we have the TV commercial uploaded, then it's something you can be able to use in your markets. This is from Jonathan Bigger. I don't know what type of card to use. It's PayPal, so it takes any type of card, any type of card. This is a good question. Does 1-800 fair offer work in low value cities like Detroit? I think I lost Alex
Abs-
again.
No, I'm here. Just like anything else, you mail something, you use a bandit sign, you do whatever. I mean, a deal is a deal is a deal, no matter where it is.
How do we know if we get the discounted annual? Because everything's time stamped, and we'll go in and timestamp. You'll be notified.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do tomorrow.
Yeah. And tomorrow's moving day for me. Gotta love it. Besides the initial cost, when does marketing cost become necessary? Marketing cost becomes necessary to drive leads to your brand. right? Um, so I mean, having having a website and having a website sitting on the web and a postcard sitting on your table, and the postcard's not going to anybody, and there's nobody visiting your website, then 1-800-FAIR-OFFER is worthless, right? 1-800-FAIR-OFFER works by sending the postcard to somebody, right? And sending the people to the website, and then as they convert into leads, talking to the lead, finding out their information, reading their personality, going to the appointment, and getting the contract. Says, what if I don't have a PayPal account? It doesn't matter if you have a PayPal account. You can still just go process with a card on PayPal. Again, if your county's not available, you can purchase a surrounding county. Yes, this is
Or
from
a county anywhere else in the country.
anywhere else in the
If
country.
you're familiar with some kind of area you grew up in, or just a county that you think
You like.
is a hot county.
This is from William. Where do I get the download? Go to this page right here, 1-800-FAIROFFER.com/register. 1-800-FAIROFFER.com/register. And then at the bottom of the page, you'll see a thing that says download here. That's where you get it. Can you go over, Alex, renewals? How that works?
Yep. All right. So basically, the way it works is your one-time fee is the 49.97 or the two-pay, whatever you choose. The renewal is 19.97 a year afterwards, which is insanely cheap for something like this. So basically, you pay your one-time fee for this year, and then every year after that, it's 19.97. Think about this too. Along with this whole system, there's phone routing and minutes and time. So if you ever had something like Freedom Voice or Pat Live or something along those lines, um, that costs money every single month. So we foot that entire bill for you. So, that's what the 1997 goes towards.
Yeah. Someone's asking how when a seller calls, how is the phone system set up? Does it go to voicemail and then leave their address for property they're interested in selling and then is routed? So basically what happens is what we have it do is everything is routed from 1-800-FAIR-OFFER into our phone system, and then the phone system, our answering service, we answer at 1-800-FAIR-OFFER. So what I've done differently is I have during work hours 9 to 5 we have the calls answered live. So when the calls come in, someone answers them live, or Jerry Beth answers them live. She'll talk to the seller, book an appointment, and then after hours it goes to voicemail. So we have 1-800-FAIR-OFFER route to that voicemail. This is how much additional marketing money. I would start out with what you can. You can start out and then what you can afford, right? Whether it be a couple, $100, $200, $500, whatever. And then as you get leads, you get deals. Then you take that deal and you reinvest 15%. All you need is one deal. Once you get that one deal, you're good. Cool. This is, are you going to trademark the brand? That's your favorite question.
Yeah, actually we do. We are trademarked on the supplemental register right now. So
If you scroll up on 1-800 Fair Offer Register on your page there, just scroll up a little bit, Mr. Sean.
Yep.
You can see the little R next to it. We're on the supplemental register, so in a few years we can apply for the principal. So we do have a trademark.
This is from Jonathan. Can we share our 1-800 Fair Offer presentation that does not have branding? No, it's a 1-800 Fair Offer presentation. It's all geared to
Nice.
1-800 Fair Offer. It took me about a month to put it together.
That presentation is awesome. Just like you said, it hits every single personality type, and then when you tie in 1-800 Fair Offer on the brand, it screams credibility. And just like I said with that seller, even though I was willing to give the seller the price right away over the phone, what he wanted, he still needed more, you know.
Yeah, some
And
people like
you
that.
can
Yeah.
do that.
Yep, some people will want that. Okay, that's it for the questions. Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
We are done. Alex, thank you so much for helping me out on this webinar, doing such a great job. I greatly appreciate it. You rock the house, and
No,
we
you
will
rock the house, man.
we will we will sign off for tonight. Everybody, as you know, it seems like our webinars just going lengthy, but